Okay, we're live right now. I'm going to wait a moment and let at least one body come into the room so that I don't feel like I'm talking to myself to no bodies in the room.
We won't be waiting long.
Probably not. I'm sure here in a couple minutes people start showing up. Here within the hour, we'll probably see a bunch. We got to give them a moment to get here. You know how it goes.
Mm.
Everybody's clock's like 1 or 2 minutes different.
Yeah, and then the notifications take a while as well.
Yeah, but for the people that know I'm starting at 9 o'clock, they'll know already. So I give it a minute. Sometimes I'll get a comment. Now I got three in the room just out of 0 to 3. Okay. So anyhow, I want to talk a little bit about true force loneliness, guys. Only because the true force loneliness guys that are around the world, I was talking with Joe for like 3 hours last night. And I've always supported the TFLers and the Manosphere. I've tried so hard to bring back together, which sometimes is just a big joke because people have got their mindset that this is all a game. And I support TFLers, and I actually feel for TFLers. I really do, because there's so many of them around the world that can't even get one woman in their life. But I do want to bring up the fact that I understand the anger. It's reasonable. It's expected. It could be no other way but to be angry over the fact that you've tried so hard to get a woman in your life and you can't get one in your life. But the communication of society's been completely broke down. The genders have been completely divided. But all things to the side, regardless of your anger, you have to be able to let go of the anger and hatred towards all women because I understand it's women that done this to you, but I also understand the root cause was the social engineering machine by NWO who divided up the genders to begin with, okay? And then, of course, we got a lot of other things that went into it. That was part of it was the fashion industry, the modeling industry, your media, okay, and what's been perceived in society to be good looking and white knights and simps, placing females up on a pedestal, your government media placing females up on a pedestal. All of these things go into it. But you must remember it's not 100% across the board. And there are still good women out here, okay? It's just, it's like finding a dinosaur egg, isn't it? Yep. And I have Harry here with me, so say hello, Harry.
Hello, guys.
And I also have Drunk Coke in the meeting. I don't know if he's got a mic working yet. He seems to be
Hey
idle.
guys, can you
There
hear
you
me?
go. Yes, there you go. I
Beautiful.
hear you. Thank you. And then
All
I
right.
have the guest that's going to piss everybody off tonight. Okay, but she's not here to piss everybody off. Oh my God, I said it. It's a she. Yes, sirree. You're right, it is a she. No, I didn't sell you out, okay? But I do want to talk about what society's lost because of the division. And I understand TFLers' complaint and how hard it is and how unfair it is and how they feel, okay? But you have to remember it's not 100% across the board, okay? Even though it's gigantic numbers, okay? And so you don't want to hold on to your anger because if you fail to communicate with a woman, if the woman is interested, you'll fail to ever get out of TFL. And that is no lie. So, with that being said, I'm going to let this female introduce herself to whatever she wants to say here, and we'll go with that. And so the floor is yours now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jana. I live in Iowa, USA. Can you hear me, Bill?
Yes, I hear you.
Oh,
Hear you loud and clear.
okay, good.
Yes,
Perfect.
Tell them a little bit
Um,
about how you found me, why you follow me, and what you
you know,
see with TFL. Uh-oh, did we lose her?
nope, I'm still here. I found Bill a couple of years ago. Um, I He had found a person that I follow on Facebook and YouTube regarding parental alienation, and I am friends with that man on Facebook. And the way Bill put that out there, and I just Bill watched the video, and I couldn't believe that Bill had the same views as I did with this mother. And I'm just like, it was amazing. It was amazing. This guy was being male bashed, and it's wrong. It was wrong. The way she treated the husband, or the ex-husband, excuse me, it just blew my mind the way she treated the child as well as the husband, or excuse me, ex-husband. And that's how I met Bill. And then after that, it was the Las Vegas shooting, Sandy Hook, things like that. And I followed Bill ever since.
And what made you follow me on the dating scene topics?
The dating thing,
Yes.
the dating thing uh, for me, it just, I listened to it the other night. I want to say about a week ago, and I couldn't believe some of the views out there. I want to say that I can understand where men are coming from. It blew my mind that men think these there are women out there that men bash, and I'm one of those that don't do that. I believe, I totally believe in, we don't men bash, we don't women bash. We get to know each other.
I would agree with that, but what would you tell TFLers who spent their lives trying to meet one woman in 1 to 5
Right,
seconds, they're rejected over and over and over again, year after year after year.
right, right. And and you know what? And to me, that is so wrong, because these women that are giving good women a bad name, that is so unfair. One example is, I have dated this man, and we are best friends. He's a heavier set man, and you know what? I didn't care. I didn't care. We realized that us dating at that time didn't work out, but we are the best of friends. This morning we sat for 2 hours on the phone and did nothing but laugh and giggle. And I didn't care what he looked like. It came from inside his heart. That's what I,
And so what you're saying is you went by not so much the look, you went by what's in the heart.
yes, absolutely.
And so then you're going by getting to know somebody. So what do you think of the dating scene nowadays? What you're actually seeing going on?
Nowadays, the the what I see going on is, these men and women. It's let's meet up at the bar, have a few drinks till our inhibitions are let go, and it's a one night stand. I don't like that. I do not like that. I don't approve of it. I want I I feel like they're not getting to know each other. Let's get to know each other. Let's get to know each other.
Right. See, that's just what I've been trying to tell people all along. Men and women have to take the time to get to know each other. But for TFLers, they don't stand a chance because the women look at them in 1 to 5 seconds. They've already rejected them. And then it goes on and on and on and on, and they become very angry with the women. And then they get hatred toward the women. And so that's the big issue here with the TFL community is these are guys that always wanted to have one woman in their life that would take the time to get to know them, as we're talking about, and these women won't give them the time of day. Now, I don't know if she muted her mic.
Yeah, you know
There
what?
you are.
That's
There you are.
to me, that's just terrible. I don't believe in the fact that we don't give these guys a chance. You know, I dated a man. I didn't take him by his looks. He's heavy. He was heavy. I didn't care. He's twice my weight. I didn't care. I didn't care.
That's what it's supposed to be in reality.
It came from it came from what came from inside. That's what made me love him so much. Exactly, Bill. Exactly.
Yeah, I've said this so many times to people, and it's like it's over their head. I'll let Harry and Drunk Hulk also get some words in here that they might have a question for as well. So, Harry, why don't you start off and then we'll let Drunk Hulk have. You guys got any questions for her? Go ahead and ask
Well,
them.
I agree with what she's saying. It's not about making assumptions about people you barely know and jumping to conclusions right at the start. It's about developing a connection. It's not about having sex or one night stands or whatever, because all that is another form of a drug. For me, the main problem with TFL is like this existential sort of crisis about, trying to love somebody and be loved by somebody over a long period of time, which is exceedingly hard to find in society today whenever the relationships are more and more about the whole usury aspect of it, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree that you can't really judge somebody, at least until you've walked in their shoes. I know it's a cliche, but Steve often makes that argument, and I have to agree with that. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's always been that way, but the problem is thanks to NWO and many, many years of social engineering and breaking down the foundation of relationships between men and women. Okay? This is the problem. People actually believe it's always been that way amongst the young men. And then, of course, they think it's all a game. They think it's all about getting laid. It's done nothing but become nothing but about usury. And usury on both sides. It's not a one sided thing, it's both sides. Okay? TFLers wouldn't understand it's both sides because TFLers are being walked on by women, stepped on, ignored, shoved out of a life, denied a life, and then attacked by other guys on a regular basis. And this is what's going on for TFLers. And it's so hard for them. We have tons of double standards. Okay? We have everything upside down on its head. People think relationships is formed in an instant. They want to go out on a date and think, oh, they got laid, man. That means they're a man. Okay? And now we have this trend going on with one woman living and dating 3 guys at a time. Okay? And this kind of behavior has to go away because when you get a woman living with 3 guys, dating 3 guys, because these 3 guys are so desperate for female in her life because they've been rejected their whole life, I can understand why they would. But at the same token, it's awful because You can't do that and expect anything less than what you're seeing going on. Lots of drama, lots of violence, okay? You know, drugs, sex, parties, more drama, women with children by, I mean, we got women out here nowadays, they're thinking it's the norm to have 3 different fathers, 4 different fathers, okay, for their kids. That's not okay. That's actually sick. You know, I watched Jana following me for quite some time, and she impressed me because it wasn't just NWO. She's been following me on the dating scene issues for quite some time. And the first time we talked the other night, well, the first time we ever actually talked because we had typed back and forth and shared links, and she's been in and out of the chats watching the dating scene topics too. Her and I wound up talking for 5 hours straight. And it wasn't because, oh, we're trying to hook up. Okay, no. It's about real life. It's about what's wrong in society. It's about people actually taking the time to get to know one another. And it's about these women who want to continuously reject guys in 1 to 5 seconds, 1 to 5 seconds, 1 to 5 seconds, and throw them out of her life. It's so not right. It's so evil. It's so unfair. Okay?
And a big reason for the current climate is partly because we've got a media that promotes the idea of treating women like sex objects, like giving men this idea that, oh, you gotta sleep with multiple women. It doesn't matter if you know them or want to form a meaningful relationship with them. And so guys feel the need to put on a strong man narrative, claim that they're spinning plates and getting with all these women. What kind of image do you think that's going to plant in the minds of women? You think they're going to be open to forming relationships nowadays? It's no wonder why things are in such disarray. We've got a media with all the wrong incentives pushing this idea of men as, oh, you gotta be spinning plates, bro. Oh, I banged her. I bang. They use words like bang, just objectifying
Right.
women and also objectifying men as all men as predators. Look at this show. What's it called? Something. Is it Law and Order SVU? Every tall guy who's not with a woman who's alone in public, he's a rapist or molester or whatever waiting to happen.
Right.
You know, it's objectifying women as objects and objectifying men as predators is ultimately what I've narrowed it all down to. So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. And I don't agree with that. There are just as many women predators out there as there are men. And the media needs to stop making these men only as predators. I've been to second grade. I know my context clues, and I'm a big one that watch. This may sound stupid, but I do watch a lot of Steve Wilkos, and it's amazing to me the amount of women that are child molesters, child predators, child rapists, and it just boggles me. So let's stop making these men. It's not all men that are bad. It's not all women that are bad. But there are, let's just be honest, let's be fair. There are bad men out there. There's bad women out there. But I would like for the good men to stop making, or the bad men to stop making the good men look bad, and the bad women to stop making the good women look bad. Come on here.
I can't disagree with that.
Right. I mean, there's good and bad of everything. There's evil out there. There are very evil women out there. I believe it or not, I know a few personally.
Right.
And I've sat there and I've talked to them and I'm like, you don't treat people like that. You weren't raised. I know your mom and dad. Your mom and dad didn't raise you to treat people like that. And I'm a big one on the golden rule. And this is where a lot of our society has really fallen apart. The golden rule: treat others as you wish to be treated.
Oh God, and I've said that so
I'm
many
Amen.
times.
Amen.
huge. Thank you. Amen. You know, for real, treat others as you want to be treated. I understand we all make mistakes. We all judge, which isn't right, but we've all done it. You've done it. I've done it. I don't care if the Pope has done it. I've judged. I have. And then, you know, I feel like smaller, you know, lower than a snake's belly when I've judged. And so I'm not going to sit here and say I'm perfect. I will never say I'm perfect. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. But this man bashing thing has got to stop.
We got
And
30
that is why
plus
I
years. We have 30 plus years in the media of nothing but male shaming.
yes, male shaming. It boggles me. It just blows my mind. And Bill knows this. Bill knows we've talked lengthily about this. I don't. I you know, really, okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to tell you this. The only male bashing that's legitimate in my eyes is men and, well, I guess women too. Okay, let's go on to a slight male bashing subject, but it can be women bashing too. You know, these men that are out there beating on these women that think it's okay. Now, before everybody starts screaming at me, there's also men out there that are getting the shit knocked out of them by these women because they were raised, you don't put your hands on a woman.
Oh,
You know what?
we've
You
all
don't,
heard that, yeah.
right. You don't put your hands on a man. You don't put your hands on a woman unless it's self-defense. And I believe that.
That's it. And if you're gonna be a woman and you're gonna clench up your fist and deck the guy, when
Yep.
you
You
get
better
punched
be
back,
ready to fight like a guy.
exactly. We got
Yep.
Hayden Rose is in here. He hasn't had a chance to speak. This guy's TFL, and he's what, 24 years old? Why don't you tell her a little bit about your story, what's been happening with you?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Hi,
Good.
Hayden.
Doing well. Well, I'm glad to
Well,
be on the
thank you.
show tonight. Um,
I'm
yeah,
doing
24
all right.
years old. I live in Dallas, Texas, for people who didn't hear me on the last stream. And for basically my whole life, it's been a struggle to meet a woman who I share a mutual connection with, that I can build a relationship with. And
Sorry to hear that.
a lot of different things on my mind tonight that I wanted to get off my chest. I don't have all of them right now, so I'll take it as it goes. But
Sure.
I've just been spending a lot of time thinking about what I've seen, experienced, and observed personally. I think
Sure.
there's a big problem in the manosphere that I've noticed, that a lot of men tend to make statements based upon claims that they don't know for themselves, but they only say it because other people have said it. I've taken the time just to step back and look at what I've seen and experienced for myself. And there's a lot of things that I will take a stand on and say for sure that this is going on. And then there's other things that I'm kind of on the border with.
Sure.
So, but the gist of things is I've noticed that even though there are still a lot of men and women who seem to be doing pretty well as far as dating and relationships are concerned, there's also just as many, if not more, men who are struggling to find anybody just to be friends with, for starters. And I think that's where it all comes down to, is the foundation for a successful relationship would be to start off being really good friends with the woman, but they've turned
There you
that on
go.
its head in the media and shamed it into being a rejection line that the woman uses to shame a man into believing that he's not good enough, or he's not attractive enough, he doesn't have high status enough. So, oh, you're in the quote unquote friend zone. But in reality, I think that's how generations past always did it. That's how my parents did it, and that's how my grandparents did it. And they've been married collectively for 90 years. So
Oh,
I do
awesome.
believe it is possible. I believe it is truly possible to find um, what they would call true love. But I think that it's a process, and you have to work at it. Because if it
Yes,
wasn't
I
true,
agree.
then my grandparents wouldn't have what they have, and my parents wouldn't have what they have. So
Right.
it's really demoralizing to look at all the things going on in the world today, and you have a hard time trying to find a grip on it.
You're right. You're right. My parents have been married for 55 years. My father and I, basically, my father and I have three other siblings. My father and I decided here about a year and a half ago to put my mother in a home because she has dementia pretty bad. But my dad, every day since she's been there, he goes there every day, and collectively he has missed maybe 3 times of going to see her because he had to go on a trip or whatever. But they've been coming February 6th this year. February 6th they've been married 55 years. And then my aunt and
Wow.
uncle, my dad's sister and her husband, today is their 60th anniversary. And I see what you're saying. You don't hear that too much. You
No,
just
you
don't
don't.
hear that anymore. And I sit here and I wonder, um, how did you do it? How did you make it through? I do wonder those things. What helped you make it through? And it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of communication. It's a lot of uh, you know give me 50%, I'll give you 50%, or you give me 100%, then I'll turn around and give you 100%.
That's
you know it's it's
exactly it. That's
it's that
exactly
it's
it.
and you know what, here's the thing, they got to know each other first. They dated, or courtship, or whatever people call it. In this day and age, it's called dating. Back then, it was courtship. They dated for several months, both my dad and mother, and my aunt and uncle, and they went out and they played games and had fun. Kind of like in the beginning, I'm sure whoever's listening, we've all seen the movie The Notebook, where they're playing "Call Me a Bird," and they're on there playing in the water. They're just doing goofy stuff, and what we would think, oh, that's, some people would think it's stupid. I don't. I think that's where it starts. You play with each other, and you laugh and you giggle and you have fun, and that's where it starts. And then you work on this relationship and really think about it. And if it works out, hey, that's awesome. 60 years marriage, like you said, 90 years collectively. Then you've got some other people that, and I'll be honest, I always hold myself accountable. I dated this guy who was heavier set, didn't bother me. That the heavy part didn't bother me. What came from his heart is what made me fall in love with him. But we found out that we're better as good friends, best friends actually. And we talk every day. We work together and we work well together. Um, it didn't work out as boyfriend girlfriend, but that's okay. We weighed the pros and cons out, kind of listed it out, and the cons kind of superseded the pros at the time. But we're still best friends.
But
Right.
that's exactly what it's supposed to be, because you date to get to know somebody, to see if you have things in common, to see if you can be
Right.
friends.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then if you
Absolutely.
can be friends, it has to be able to escalate to best friends. And if it's meant to be, you're both going to wind up falling in love with each other. And I'll tell you what, love's a beautiful thing if you ever
It
find it.
is. It really is. And you know what? I really loved this man. And we found out that it didn't quite work out as boyfriend, girlfriend. You know what? Hey, that's okay. But I was telling other people this morning, it was just like we talked for 2 hours this morning, and all we did was laugh and giggle over the phone. He and we are best friends. I need something, he helps me. He needs something, I help him. And you know what? It could turn out to where we start dating again. And that's kind of where we're headed, because we're getting to know each other again first.
This is
Absolutely.
this right here is the real foundation of a true relationship. And this is the reason so many people cannot find real love, because they
That
don't know
saddens
what
me.
they're doing. They literally
They
don't know
don't.
what they're doing.
They don't. They just jump into this thing and it's just like, oh yeah, well, this will work. No, that's
Oh,
not how it
yes.
goes.
Or it's about looks. It's about lust.
It's
Okay?
about lust, and lust is a no-no. Lust, there should never. I wish there was never such a thing between lust and pornography. Both of those things should be outlawed. I really believe that on the woman's side and the man's side. We need to find the good in everybody. There is good in everybody,
There
and
is. But
there is.
society is so messed up because they listen to the damn
Oh,
television set.
they
They
do.
listen to all the propaganda. They look at
Right.
the pornography. And then they believe they know when they
Mhm.
actually don't know.
Right. And then you've got, then you sit here and you think you've got these models. They're so pretty and they've got that beautiful figure. And yes, they do. Or they're so skinny that they look anorexic. But I'm just saying, some men, some women, oh, that's the body I want. It's not realistic. It's not
Right.
realistic. And it just bothers me because I'm not gonna lie, I'm like 5'5". I weigh about 160 pounds. I'm a little bit of a chunk. I've had 5 babies and I love all my children. My first one passed away, but my next 4, they're alive, they're well, they're healthy. My baby is good, is 24 this year. You know what? And I do have chunks still. So what? I'm a grandma. I am a grandma of 4 kids. I have 4 grandbabies and I love them to death. And the media, men and women both, you see on the media where these men they're supposed to look like this. Women are supposed to look like that. That's bullshit. That is bullshit.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolute bullshit.
that is other people telling you what you're supposed to be. So what do you feel about biology?
Okay, I am a blonde, so bear with me. Put that more in layman's terms, Bill.
Okay. Uh, okay. I'll give you some stuff.
Okay,
Testosterone, estrogen. Do you think that's the rule of what makes a man and a woman?
no, no.
Okay.
Definitely not. Yep.
I mean,
I agree.
testosterone goes to a man. Okay, let's be that way. Estrogen is a woman, but you know what? Here, you want real biology? Testosterone and estrogen is in both man and woman. That's what makes that's their hormones. I do know that much. Of
That would
course,
actually be correct.
obviously more testosterone in a man and obviously more estrogen in a woman. But do I think that's the mainframe? No, no. I think as long as a man is honest and compassionate and is truthful and what comes from his heart, that's what makes him compatible. That's what makes him beautiful. And I don't mean beautiful can be for men or women. I, like this man I dated, yes, he's heavier set. I didn't care. I didn't care. Okay, let's bring up my husband. I am a widow. 46 years old. I was a widow. He died 12 in December of 16. 12/16 of 16, my husband died. Who wants to be a widow then? Nobody does, man or woman. He wasn't the best looking guy in the world. And I'm gonna be honest, first I thought he was a prick. I used to work at a credit union down in Nebraska. He would come through and me and this girl would argue over whose turn it was to wait on him. But one day, just one day, he come through and we just had the shittiest loud car day that day. And it makes the microphones just make this weird sound through the window, the glass. We all know, everybody that can hear us knows you go through the drive-through of the bank. And he was the only one, he was the final car, pickup that day that had a loud muffler. And he pulls up, shuts the truck off. And I'm like, hit the button. I'm like, thank you. And
If
he goes,
you could send a message to other women, or you could talk to other women,
Uh-huh.
okay, would you tell them about TFL? Would you
Oh,
tell them what
absolutely
they're
would.
actually doing to other men?
Oh, absolutely. I don't like this thing where women are bashing on men. I don't like that. That's not fair. That's not fair to these men. It's giving it's giving the good women a bad name. The ones that do care, the ones that do see things from the inside instead of the outside. You take everybody's skin off of them. Take your skin off. Yours, everybody else that's on live, everybody that's watching through the messaging on tonight. Take everybody's skin off. You know what? We all look the same. We're all a big bag of bones and blood and organs. We all look the same.
So would you discuss it in public?
I would. Oh, damn. Yeah, I would. I have. I have. I have a family member that and likes to use the N word, which I'm not gonna. You all know what I mean by the N word,
Yeah.
and as in Nancy. No, I don't like that word, and she gets her butt ripped every time she uses it, and she's older than me. And I'm like, no, we don't talk to people like that. We don't talk about people like that. You be friendly to everybody. And I've always heard, kill people with kindness. Kill them with kindness. You know what? And that's what I did. That's actually what I did with my husband because, like I said, I thought he was kind of a prick. He was kind of a dick as he come through the drive all the time. And then I got to know him. Then we exchanged phone numbers, and it was probably at least 6 months we dated. And then I'm going to be honest. And then finally the intimacy happened. And it was like, wow, I got to know him, really know him before that happened, and then got to know him further. And then next thing I know, he's asking me to marry him. And I swore I would never get married again. And you know what? I married him. But it took like 2 years. Maybe that's not a lot of time for some people, but it was a long time for me.
Well,
And
I think that goes on an individual couple, okay, to how long they're going to actually date and take the time to know each other. The flaw people
of
make is
course,
they don't take the time that is necessary. It's immediate hookup, okay? That's the big
yeah, and
flaw.
that's just ew,
You
ew.
know,
Instant
Hookup,
instant
ugh.
they call it instant gratification. There's too much of
Thank
that.
you. There's way too much of that, and I don't agree with that.
you have that, and then of course you got TFLers out here by the millions all over the world who are very bitter at women, very hateful at women. But you know what? You can't blame them. How am I going to blame them? When you get guys that go from a young teen when their hormones kick in to their 30s, to their 40s, to their 50s, and have never had nobody in their life, and all they've ever had was rejection, how
Yeah,
could you
that's
expect them to not hate women?
Well,
right.
here's the
Exactly.
thing is they don't understand that this is a systemic, societal, social and economic problem that's driving all of this. So so in a way, yeah, I don't blame them coming from that. I mean, especially teens and young men whose brains are not fully developed, then if they get shit on by the world, they're gonna lash out in some way. And if they see another guy who's being misogynistic, then maybe they think, oh, okay, um, he thinks that way, therefore there must be, and I'm experiencing TFL as well. So this is like guys who go on to online forums. It's just kind of or they might listen to these high profile MGTOW content creators, which a lot of them are just like merchants of discontent, right? So,
Right. Right.
um, anyways, I'm losing my train of thought. I got brain fog or something, but somebody can.
No,
Right.
no, we get you. No, you're fine. You're fine. No, we
Yeah.
understand.
Well, I'll let Harry jump in here next. How's that? He's been quiet, and I want to keep him up. He's over in the United Kingdom.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty tired today. That's no underestimate either. But the guy Drunk Hulk, we brought up a good point earlier about banging. You realize how lovemaking is associated with violence. Bang's a very violent word. It's like you're getting shot or something or hit on, you know, you're getting punched, you get banged, but you know, you realize they're actually, you know, basically violencing or making love into like violence or whatever.
Social engineering with words. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, association of them words are sort of connecting it so that you kind of build these little connections in your mind from these two seemingly, you know, unconnected pieces of information, so they kind of draw together and create these subconscious ideas of, you know, violence being about love and stuff, and that's how to get people.
You know
That's
what?
right.
You'd be correct about that. That's a good elaboration on what I brought up. You put words to what you put that into words what I was thinking today.
Yeah, you know, I thought it was a good point. You know, you brought it up, and I thought about it for a while. It's kind of been on my mind, but
well, you know, Harry, I've always been very impressed with. He's my son's age, and he's very awake, very intelligent, and he's on the right path, you know. He really is. And he's awake to what's going on in this world. Him and I have this thing. We can actually see through a lot of BS, okay? We see through one hell of a lot of BS, and we can actually see what's actually taking place, and we know where this is going. We know where the elite are taking us, and I don't want it. I don't like it. I don't want it. Okay? And I've always strived to bring men and women back together in NTFL. But I'll tell you what, you can never end TFL if we don't get girls to stop rejecting guys in 1 to 5 seconds.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
And if you don't start taking people seriously and stop your damn games and you gotta let go of your anger, because as long as you hold on to your anger, you will hold yourself back.
Right. I agree. I agree.
I should mention that women they might not necessarily reject a guy out of spite or out of disgust for him, but I think often it's due to their own economic insecurity. You know, people are working such long hours nowadays. It's for most people, and I mean, unless you work in government, unless you kind of luck out, it's tough to find a 40-hour work week that's going to give you a good quality of living for you and your family, or your parents if you're supporting your parents too, like caregiving, that kind of thing. Compared to, say, the 1970s, right? So we've got people are just more stressed out with work nowadays. It's not a good climate. Both men and women are suffering.
Right. I agree. I agree.
Well,
Absolutely.
you know, that part is true, you know, and a lot of guys don't see it. They don't think women's suffering, and I'll tell you why. Because they look that a woman always has a choice. A woman's always got a guy in her arms. Okay, a woman's always had a boyfriend. And these guys have spent the time from their young, clear up to the age of Mr. Hoka and older, and still never had nobody in their arms, still always been rejected. Okay, and of course that's going to make them very bitter and hateful. Okay, you know, and I get disappointed because I don't want this happening to them, but I understand their anger. Okay, but at the same token, if I try to bring the genders back together and get women to speak up against TFL to other women, that's a positive thing, okay? But everybody's going to say there ain't no woman going to do it. They're just going to say they'll do it, but they'll never do it, okay? And then I watch, it's the thing is this. Mr. Hulk is actually a good man. I like Steve, okay? I really do. And I got nothing against Steve. But the anger, I do have something against, not because of what's happened to him, but because the anger's so deep inside from so many years, and they've watched their brothers and they've known all these other guys living it. And I've been speaking about this just as long as Mr. Holka has, and we don't see an end in sight. We literally don't. We don't see an end in sight.
You're right. And you know, and that really irritates me because there are so many men out there that are good men, and it shouldn't be based on looks. It shouldn't be based on their income. It shouldn't be based on their what's the word I'm thinking of? Their their job title. It should be based on what comes from inside.
Yes.
And these women aren't seeing that. And I'm not saying I'm all that. That's not what I'm saying. But my husband that passed away, he wasn't the best looking guy. I mean, of course, if he was sitting here now, I'd be like, really, what are you talking about? But to most women, he was not a good looking guy. I didn't pick him for that. He was, like I said, he was a dick at first. I didn't like him at all. But then once we started to get to know each other and really, really get to know each other, and I saw what came from his heart, then all of a sudden it was like, this guy is handsome inside. Not, and then the outside handsomeness came through. It was from what came from the inside. I didn't care if he made $28 an hour, $8 an hour. I didn't care. I did not care. And that's the truth. He was an electrician. So yes, he made good money, but that's not why I chose him. I chose him for what came from his heart. And I was there for him when he went through kidney dialysis. I set up the machine every night for him. That was my thing to do as his wife. And he took me 12 minutes to set up that machine every night, 5 minutes for him to hook on, boom, through the night. He did his thing, woke up in the morning, unhooked. He was ready to go for the day. I was there for him when he had his transplant. I was there for him the day he died. So maybe I just got lucky with David. It was just who we were. We played and we had fun and we laughed and we giggled, and he laughed at me because I blasted through 2 stop signs, one right after the other within literally 5 minutes of each other. And he's like, okay, we're going to blast this stop sign. Okay, I guess we're going to blast this one too. What did I do? Instead of getting mad at him, we laughed about it. I was laughing so hard. That's why I blasted through the second stop sign. I could have killed us. I could have, but that's just who we were. We just try to find the positive in everything. And that's a relationship I would love to have again someday when I'm ready. It's only been 3 years, but that's just the way it was. Inside first, getting to know each other first. And then these women that 1 to 5 seconds, these women that do that, I don't want no part of that. I don't want any part of that.
Right. The reason that this whole 1 to 5 second thing, is a thing with women nowadays is I think most of that is due to social engineering in the media. The fact that if there's even putting looks aside, because I have my own theory on the looks issue, but the media just the fact that a guy is alone without a woman, without a bunch of friends, makes him an undesirable.
Oh, and that's just so sad. That's really sad.
Yes.
And
Like you have to consider, like, why are there not more men in teaching, in nursing? I think there's a huge stigma around that, which is why those fields are dominated by women. I'm not saying there's not great female teachers and nurses and whatnot. That's not my point. My point is that a lot of the stigma is coming from women who have been socially brainwashed by, I don't want a male doctor, I don't want a male nurse, and men who are socially brainwashed by this hyper sort of homophobia in society.
right. Yeah, I don't understand how our society has gotten to this stage. Well, I mean, I do understand somewhat, like you said, the social media, or well, just media in general. Like I said before, men are supposed to look a certain way, women are supposed to look a certain way, and that's just not fair because I don't look like that.
Well,
And,
That's right.
and what's sick about it is nobody keeps their damn looks. So then when
no,
they start to get
we all
older,
age.
yeah. So when they start to get older, what do? They start trying to date down to a younger person for the looks again.
Right, right. Yes, Bill, you're right. And that's, you know what? That's
It's fucking disgusting because if you could ever, I mean, I tell people this all the time. Reach around to the backside, grab your hair by the back of its head, and pull it out of your know what. Okay? And start opening your eyes and paying attention to what's going on around you. And then for these girls that want to keep rejecting guys in 1 to 5 seconds, 1 to 5 seconds, they need to do the same. Reach around to the backside and pull it back out of there. You know what?
right, right. Just really quick, this Andy Burke. Is this Bill's new girlfriend? No.
See, I knew
Sorry,
that was
Andy.
coming. I
Hate
knew
to
that was
disappoint
coming.
you. No.
Yep.
Nope. Hate to disappoint you.
See, this is how delusional they are. If you talk to a
Very
woman, oh, he's a Chad. Oh, it's his new girlfriend.
right. And it pisses me off.
It's all
And
assumptions and it's wrong. You don't know what
it
you're
is.
talking about. You're just opening your mouth.
Or
Now,
it
why don't you
assumes
try
that,
using your brains next time?
yeah, it assumes that men the only incentive for them to be involved with a woman is uh, intimacy, which isn't, or sexual gratification, and
Sure.
that's not necessarily true. Our society is just kind of, I don't know if it's the zeitgeist of the day. We live in a very toxic, negative zeitgeist where it's almost like this. It's almost like you just look into people's eyes and the spirituality has just been sucked out of them.
Right.
Like Mitchell put it best. He said, "You look into some people's eyes and it's like you're looking at tombstones."
It's true. It's very
Unfortunately,
true.
Yep.
that's sort of what it's like. And I know a lot. I knew there were going to be a lot of people pissed off that I had John here. Okay, but they better understand something. You can enjoy being alone, or you can try to escape TFL. I'm not going to say it's going to be easy to escape TFL when you get people like Steve Hoka's age. Okay,
Hmm.
there's no way it can be easy in a society that's being controlled by a bunch of evil, sick people who are using the media to create the very problem we're having. But I'm telling
Right.
you the God's honest truth. I always have been. And I'm not no damn simp. Okay? I'm not a pure simp, and I'm not throwing the manosphere under the bus. I'm trying to teach you something. Okay? It's hard to teach people in today's society because they've been so damn brainwashed and they just
Oh
can't
my God.
see.
Yeah. From day one. From day one.
And
No.
believe me, it's not one-sided. It never has been. The only thing that's one-sided is TFL. Okay, because TFL is the majority. Not that there isn't women that could live TFL, because there is, but the number is so low when it comes to women. And you have to look at social engineering. What have we done? We have told men what their roles are in life. We have told women what their roles are in life. And we have pampered women, spoiled women, placed them on a pedestal above our own selves.
Right.
We cover up for every wrong they ever do. And if somebody calls a woman out for the wrongs, oh my God, you're a woman-hater.
Right. Yeah. You're right. And it just, I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing at what you're saying. I'm just laughing at the idea of what you're saying. It bothers me. If women can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. You know,
you
and if
gotta, for me, it's like, how did we get 30 plus years of male shaming without women speaking up?
right, exactly. And see here, there's me, and I got a lot of grief last time I was in the room, and you women shouldn't be in here. Well, you know what? And like I said, Bill, you know what? I'm not leaving the room, and if I'm expected to leave the room, Bill will kick me out. And Bill, you didn't kick me out because I stood up for myself. I'm
That's
not
that's
out
it.
here, right? I'm not out here to bash on men. Let's be realistic. Men bash on men. women bash on women, men bash on girls, girls bash on men. Let's be real here.
Yep.
No one's perfect. We've
Well,
all judged. We all have.
The statement in today's society literally comes down to, okay, women hate men hate men, women love women, okay? And these statements actually ring true in today's society thanks to the media, thanks to brainwashing.
Thanks a lot. It's like, really, thanks a lot. I mean, if you think about it, it's like, really, fuck off. I'm sorry to say it that way, but
Well,
media can.
even Girls' Rights what? Karen Stroud of the men's rights movement makes the statement that there will be a significant number of men, okay, and the words was significant. Significant stands for a high amount of men that are unfuckable.
Ugh.
And what message did that send to men? Well, you just plan on the rest of your life being TFL.
Right. And that's wrong. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. And maybe I'm the only woman out there. Maybe I'm the only girl out there that doesn't agree with that statement, that men are unfuckable or whatever you said. Every man has a right, in my opinion, every man has a right to have that loving, compassionate, honest, open relationship. And the courtship or the dating scene, the real dating scene, not the fake thing. I'm talking the real dating scene, getting to know one another. And then eventually intimacy happens, eventually maybe a proposal, eventually maybe marriage and kids, and keep going. And like the young gentleman said, congruitively, his parents and grandparents, 90 years. Are you kidding me? That would be wonderful to start seeing that more and more and more. It would be.
Yes, it would.
It really would. I congratulate your parents and grandparents. I congratulate my parents. I congratulate my aunt and uncle, 60 and 55 years. Hello, you just don't hear that anymore. You just don't. I would love to know. And you know what? I'm going to talk. I have every intention of talking to my dad and to my, I can't really with my mother because she does have dementia really bad or Alzheimer's. But my dad, I would love to know, what did you do to make it work? How did you make it work? Because I don't understand all the ins and outs of it. I'm not perfect. I want to know how they did it. I want to know how my aunt and uncle did it, and my other aunt and uncle. Well, of course, that uncle has passed away now, but I want to, how, really? 50 plus years? Are you kidding me? Now you're lucky if you're married for 2 years, you get a divorce. It's just too easy.
Right.
Well, no fault divorce done no favors for men whatsoever.
No.
When I do,
and then the man always gets screwed in the divorce.
That's what
it's
about. Because what the courts did was purposely side with the woman regardless. The woman could be abusing her kids, beating the shit out of them, and unless it's HR, Child Protective Services seeing it, you go into the courtroom, the judge is going to award the woman the kids regardless of what the guy says, unless he has enough money to pay the criminal industry off.
Right.
Okay, so the guy literally don't stand a chance. And I've watched this happen so many times where the woman literally turns the kids against the father, takes the guy's home, takes everything the guy has, and the courts gives it to him. Then you'd wonder why a guy that was married 22 years lost his house, lost his car, lost all of his belongings to the woman he loved, okay? Just completely destroyed his life. And then the married couples that they hung together all these years, okay? Now suddenly all the married couples men hate the man because they all side with the woman, and the guy's left with no friends. And
That is a really good point. That's a really good point you brought up, and I've noticed that. I feel like in certain elements of my work, I'm being held back because people just don't want to network with single guys like me.
Right.
People want to network with other couples, right?
That's very true. I've seen that in my own workplace as well.
And you
Everybody
know
I
what?
work with,
I
married
can't-
or
I can't speak
Unfortunately,
firsthand.
it is correct. See, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to say everything I feel, everything I've seen in my life, and what I've witnessed with my own eyes, and what all these
Right.
TFLers have seen with their own eyes, because this woman is not about all the shit you think she is, okay? I'm telling you, you don't
Right.
know her. You're judging her by all the experiences you've had. And that doesn't make that her. That makes that a judgment call.
Right.
Well, you know what, Bill? The majority of the comment section is not going to listen. Majority of people
Right. I agree.
my age, I don't talk to them about TFL because I've learned they're not going to listen. Surprisingly, though, there are people who are open to understanding
Right.
social engineering and TFL through the years, and I brought up the point. So people they don't really have any answer to if you bring up the point about if TFL is not real, why do we have the PUA, the pickup artist industry, to teach men to talk to women? When boys and girls were playing with sandcastles or whatever, when they were had trips together with family friends of boys and girls making mud pies or whatever, right? Why do you need to take a course on how to talk to a woman for something
That's
that's
exactly
Right.
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 for a
I've
bond that should develop naturally, friendship and a bond. Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Well,
Go
I've
ahead.
got to
Harry.
say something here, though. All these guys
Yes.
in the comments are making a judgment on her in 1 to 5 seconds, and that's the exact same behavior that they complain about whenever women do it onto them. Judging, making assumptions in 1 to 5 seconds. So I guess they can't complain if they're getting rejected all the time. They're going to judge a woman in 1 to 5 seconds just because she's a woman.
Well, you
You
know
know
what? It's
what?
okay that they have this outlet to vent, as long as they're not
Right.
going overboard. I can
yeah.
accept that when I was 20, I didn't have the same mental maturity and experience with TFL and experience with, well, I was in one, I would say, quality relationship, and we're very good friends still. And who knows, we might rekindle, it might turn into a full blown relationship again. But
Right.
like you were saying earlier, Gina, I think you
Yes.
mentioned with this guy. So my experience kind of mirrors yours in a way.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, these guys. Here's the thing. Just because I managed to luck out and into this relationship doesn't give me the right to lecture other guys on how you have to act around women. No, it ultimately I was in the right place at the right time, and I lucked out. If I was to start lecturing guys on how to approach women or how to, oh, you can end your TFL like I did, it's such nonsense. It's the ultimate survivorship bias. I just got lucky. I admit it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
For
That doesn't
guys,
make TFL. This doesn't make TFL less of an issue, because guess what? I've lived it for like at least 15 years of my life. If we're talking about past, well, maybe 14 years if we're talking about past age 12.
yeah, okay, I totally understand you, because the reality is exactly what it is. You've lived it these years, and I've known these guys that lived it so long. George Sedini lived it 49 years, okay, and couldn't take it no more, and then he winds up killing a couple women in a gym and killing himself. Okay, it's sad. It should never have happened, but this has been socially engineered. It is about divide and conquer, and that is what it's about. But I do agree with Harry. Harry made a very good call. For all these guys that are complaining about 1 to 5 seconds, okay, that we've been rejected, which is true. You done the very same thing to Jana. You don't even know her. So you did the very same thing you whine about. How can you whine about it and then repeat it yourself? Because now you're no better than them.
Right.
Wow.
Yep. And,
It's true.
and true. and he's not saying, I don't feel like Bill is saying that to be rude. I think he's making just a good point. Um, you know, I've seen this with my own two eyes with girls, with women, my own daughter, and I love her with all my heart. And I'm not going to sit here. My intention is not to bash on her, but she's a male basher. She puts all her drama on social media, every bit of it. Her husband didn't come home in time, and what do I do? And da 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 da. And I'm like, you need to stop putting this on social media. Stop making your drama everybody else's interest, or your drama everybody else's problem. You know, and I don't always use my words correctly. Like I said, I am a blonde, but you know, it how can I say this? It's time for some people, whether it's a man or a woman, no matter what age, leave that kind of crap off, you know, Facebook, leave it off Twitter, leave it off Snapchat, leave it off. I don't know what all their social medias are out there, but leave it off of social media.
That when
If
they
you have a
get
question,
that when they get women get in their groups of women who are doing this, they do it for peer pressure to fit in. There's lots of different reasons they're doing it. Of course, media being number one, right? Okay.
right,
And
right,
when you get in reality here, you know, well, you know what'd be nice is if a woman came up on YouTube and started posting videos up slamming other women down for creating TFL.
right.
I think that needs to happen. Let these women taste their own demise because
I agree.
it should happen. If you get a
It
woman up
should.
here slamming other women for creating TFL and doing this to men, I think that'd
Right,
probably be one of the best things we could ever see happen.
right. You know, and it wasn't just my daughter, my brother, his ex-wife. You know, that's all she did. Not necessarily social media, but you know, she just beat the living crap out of him. 3 pairs of glasses in a year. She tried to run him over with a car. She beat the living shit out of him. One time they're sitting, you know, in a place to, you know, have a couple drinks and some supper, pizza, whatever. We'll say like a bar and grill. And he said something she didn't like. And so he's taking a drink of ice water because he was the designated driver for the night. She slams her hand into the bottom of this cup and cuts both sides of his mouth. So it's not just men that are abusive. Women are just as abusive in
You,
every way.
you're damn
And
right they
so I'm
are.
sitting here thinking, quit putting all this shit on the men. It's not just the men. There's women out there that are pieces of shit too. I'm sorry to say it that way. I'm just being a realist here. There are women that are just shouldn't. I'm gonna, and this is gonna sound really bad, but I'm just gonna say it this way. I've always been saying, just say it. There are some women out there that just should not be breathing the same air that we breathe. I'm just saying it because they're not good people.
Right, and if you were to if I was to come out and advocate for a battered men's shelter, can you imagine the media reaction? They'd look for any ways to pin me as a misogynist, as hating women, just for advocating for sheltered or battered men, or
You know
Well, you
what?
housing for battered men. That's the
You know
better
what?
solution.
Right. You know, I talked to Bill today. I'm going to be honest. I talked to Bill a little bit this morning about that. And I think there should be battered men shelters. There's actually a Lifetime for Women movie. And I can't remember the name of it. And I want to say that Gary Coleman uh, was the guy in the movie, I think was the actor. And his wife beat the living crap out of him. And he found, I want to say, on a bathroom wall at a rest area, if I remember right. It's been forever since I've seen this movie. He called this shelter. It didn't say women or men's, just a shelter number. If you've been beat on or, you know, being abused, he called the number and they hung up on him. And I immediately, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? There should be battered men shelters out there because there's more battered men out there than we all realize.
You know, I was
Whole
look,
social,
yeah,
whole group of people in this country.
I done looking into this, and what I found was in the United States, at least 2 years ago, we
Mhm.
have thousands of battered women's shelters, and
Oh
we
yeah.
had 2 men's
Oh,
shelters
Jesus
across the
Christ.
entire U.S.
Jeez. Yeah, see, you know what? That's not right. That's not right in my opinion. That's not right in my opinion. There needs to be just as many men's battered or battered men shelters as there are women, because men, I feel, are raised by their parents. Tell me if I'm wrong, the guys that are on live, and even the ones in chat. Um, I feel like men are raised that if they need to call a place like that because they are getting the shit knocked out of them, because they won't fight back, because they were raised, you don't hit a woman. Okay, and that's okay. That's fine. You don't hit a woman. You know what? Other than in self-defense, you don't hit a woman. And again, we don't hit men either unless it's self-defense. But they're raised so strictly, so structured, that it's ingrained in their head that they can't touch this woman, even in self-defense, but yet they're getting the shit knocked out of them. No, there should be over 2,000 battered men shelters. There should be one in every large community and within a 50-mile radius of every small community. That's my opinion. Because I can only imagine what the numbers are. If I were to do my research, which I haven't done that part of the research, could we all imagine, everyone listening and you, the ones on live, could we imagine the men that are being downtrodden, verbally, sexually, physically abused on a daily basis, financially, every way, shape, and form? I've been down that road. Thankfully I didn't have to go to a battered women's shelter. I had a really good family. I've been down that road. So I know where these guys are coming from. No, they don't have to put up with it. And there should be more shelters for men. There really should be. And if I could open a shelter in my home, damn straight I'd have probably 10, 12 men in this house.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying for sexual purposes. I'm saying to keep them safe from these idiotic women out there that it's okay to slap my man around. No, it's not okay.
Well,
It's not okay.
it isn't, and I'm going to say something. We got TFL Simp Volume 2, TFL Simp Volume 1. Okay? So your point of view is you're a woman hater, just like they've said you are. Okay?
Oh,
Okay, because in reality, when you hear a woman speak out, and I have a lot of women on the show, somehow that makes me a simp. What, are you just jealous? Is that what it is? Do you have jealousy? Do you have daddy issues? Okay, because in the reality of things, I'm here to try to help people, and I want to see
right.
an end to TFL, and you'll never end TFL ever if you can't give a woman a chance. What if this gal come up and started doing videos speaking against the TFL that the women are creating? Oh, what would she be then? A woman hater?
Uh, I, right. And here's the thing, I'm not women haters. I am abusive people dislikers. So if it's a man that's being abusive in any way, shape, or form, I'm not a fan.
I
If
don't
it's a woman
care.
that's being
Yep.
abusive
I
any
don't
way, shape,
care.
or
Yeah.
form, I'm not a fan.
And I don't care if it's Hoka that said it because I know Hoka did. Okay? Because I've seen it. It doesn't make him right.
Right.
Okay? It doesn't make him right. He knows not the first thing about this gal. He won't want to give this gal a chance. But yet if she come up and did something like that, he'd be, huh? Okay? Because he wants to, I'm sure he believes that she would never, ever, ever open a YouTube channel and start making videos against women, okay, that are presenting this type of behavior. I'm sure that's what it is because they've all made their mind up already in 1 to 5 seconds that they already know her, okay, and that they know that she would never have the balls to do that. That this is just all talk because she's on a live stream.
Right, sure. And you know what? I was raised to always hold myself accountable for my actions and my words. I was raised by very good parents to always tell the truth. And that's what I'm saying. I'm just telling my truth or the truth. I just kind of call it like I see it. And I don't I'm one of those that no, if a girl's beating the shit out of a guy, that guy doesn't have to put up with it. If a girl's getting the shit kicked out of herself by a guy, she doesn't have to put up with it. And I've been through getting the shit knocked out of me. It ended up in my first child dying because of it. So I can see both sides. I've seen it with myself on the girl side, and I saw it with my own two eyes on the guy side with my brother. And so I can see both sides of it, and I feel bad for these men. I do. I feel bad for the women that are getting shit on. I feel bad for the men that are getting shit on, but this is about men bashing. So I'm not here to bash on good men, and there's also, and then I know there's men out there that have made bad choices. Okay, forgive them for their bad choices. Let's see if we can't get them to move forward and do better. Okay, give them that chance. Give them that chance. I have a son that's in prison. I have a son in prison. Yes, you all heard me. I have a son in prison. And at first, I'm going to be honest, I didn't want nothing to do with it because of the situation he was in there for. Then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Life's too fucking short. Life is too fucking short to hold a grudge. So in the last 6 months, he and I have been writing back and forth to each other while he's in prison. And you know what? It took the hugest weight off my shoulders because I got rid of that grudge. You know what? He made some bad choices. He has to live with it. I don't. And he and I are talking. We're getting to know each other again as mother and son. And you know what? It's the best choice I ever made. So I can sit here and say I've seen all sides of it. I'm not a woman hater. I'm not a man hater. I just am saying that all of it's the golden rule: treat others as you want to be treated. Again, the golden rule, if you want to go further than that, you know, like my son in prison, he made bad choices. I despised him for a while there for it. But now all of a sudden, after my husband died, I realized life's too short. I lost my husband. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to be hateful anymore. And that's what it took for me. That's what it took for me to lose my husband, to realize that you're being a bitch, Jana. You're being nothing but a bitch and a hateful bitch. So then once he died, I was just like, no, I'm not going to be like that anymore. I'm done. I'm done with being rude. You know, that long line at Christmas time in Walmart or Target or Best Buy or wherever people shop, you know, kill them with kindness, that long line, Merry Christmas, Happy Valentine's Day or whatever it could be. Have a great day. Even when I'm just not in the mood, smile. Make it a good day for somebody else. If you're having a bad day, make it a good day for someone else. And that's who I am. That's who I've turned into be. I used to not be such a great person, but in the last, 3 years or whatever, I've realized that I don't want to be like that anymore. And so I've changed. I am who I am. I stand up for the right things, whether it's a man or a woman. And I try my best not to judge the bad things, whether it's a man or a woman. And if it is a bad decision, I do my best to try to help them get through that bad decision. Let's make better choices now. Let's move forward. Go forward. Stop kicking a dead horse. It's not going to do you any good. Move forward.
Yes. This is just it. I don't think a lot of people understand why I brought her up on the show tonight. But I brought her up on the show because of the stuff that she's saying, and after the long talk that I had with her, knowing there's no way a woman in today's society would have been, if she was corrupt, would have been following me on the dating scene topics, they would have ran unsubbed for me and been gone. Okay? Because you know the stuff that I back up for men. Anybody
Right.
that knows me knows this. And when guys that have known me for all these years going to say, oh, he's a simp. Okay? Wow. Then I guess you are a woman hater. I can understand how you got to hate women, but it gets it's time to get over yourself. Because what needs to happen is women and men need to come back together again. Okay? And
Right.
the
Right.
TFL needs to go away forever.
Yes.
Right. And you know what? Yeah.
I mean, it's really sad to think that with TFL becoming as preposterous and as huge as it is in today's society, that we're going to have within the next 10 to 20 years a huge wave of men coming up in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who have no wife, no kids. And what does that do to the economic society that we live in? You have a bunch of men who have no incentive to get into the workforce and produce for society. They're all just going to say, well, look, society hasn't benefited me. No, where's my wife?
Why
Where's
should I
my
benefit?
children?
Yep.
I have,
Yep.
where's my reason to work hard? So I'm just going to drop
Mhm.
out. And if you have 30, 40, 50% of men dropping out, society is going to collapse. It's inevitable. I don't want to see that happen. So, I mean, I understand the anger and the frustration that a lot of these men that
Right.
in NFL and so have. It's justified. I get it.
It
But
is very justified.
at some point in
Very
time, you have to
justified.
realize as a human that the hatred you have for other people, or not other people, but just the situation in general, the hatred you have consumes you more than it does the person that you're expressing that hatred towards. And until people understand that, that burden's never going to go away. I mean, we have to learn how to humble ourselves on an emotional level. And if everybody can do that collectively, we'll start to see some change. But it starts with the media. I mean, the media programming, oh my gosh, it makes me sick. I had to cut cable because I just cannot stand the type of crap that I'm seeing on the commercials these days. It makes me sick. And the pickup artistry community,
Oh.
if we're being honest about the pickup artistry community, it's all about being fake. It's all about sex. It's all about what can I do as a man
Right.
to seduce a woman within the first date, to have sex with her for 5 hours and keep her hooked for life. That's all it's about. It's never been about relationships in the pickup artistry community. And that's what makes me so pissed.
Right.
And then,
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Well, you know, he's not only correct about that, but it even goes a little bit more, because the reality is what he said is so correct. But you know, when I was talking with my friend from Australia yesterday, we were talking about when they start collapsing societies, which they will, with the hatred of the opposite gender by men, because it's millions worldwide. Okay, you're going to literally see lots of men. Oh, because the military and law enforcement won't be able to keep up at that point. You're going to see millions of men attacking guys that have a woman, attacking women and killing and raping women just because of their anger towards the women from what the women have done to them. And now, how could you ever get this to stop? You have to start by communication. What have they done with our communication? Well, they broke it down between everybody. They pissed one gender off with the other gender so bad, okay, that now that gender despises their opposite gender. Can't blame them, okay? This is the reason you need to start getting women speaking up against the women that are doing it.
right. And I think a perfect example of that is the self checkout line at Walmart. We don't really think about things like that because it's integrated into our society now. But I mean, if you ask me, I think one of my goals for this year is to start checking out my groceries in the line where I can talk to the cash register instead of immediately deferring to the self checkout, because it programs you to be antisocial and to Just
Yep,
stay
it does.
stay away for everybody that's a stranger, and that's not healthy. I mean,
No, you're right. You're right. You're right.
this
And
convenience theology is just it's not good for the social behavior of our society.
right. You know, and I don't. I mean, maybe one or two self checkouts. If you know, I get that, but they're getting to where almost everything is self checkout.
Yes,
And I've done it. I've done it just because I only have 2 items and I'm not going to wait in line 15 minutes to get my groceries checked out by a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter the gender for me. It's just boom, bink, bink, use my debit card, boom, gone. I'm out the door.
right,
But I see what you're saying. I do. You're right. You know, take that time to go to that ladies or a man. It doesn't matter. You know, go to that person's cash register. They're there for their paycheck. You know, just as much as we go to work for our paycheck.
right,
And and I see what you're saying. I do, and I absolutely respect that. You know, I need to. I'm guilty of that. I do a lot of self checkout, and I'm very guilty of it. And you know, I'm going to follow you in your footsteps. I really am. I'm going to make an effort. I really am to go to the real checkout. That's what I'll
right.
call it, with an
Well,
actual person.
me too. I've been guilty of it ever since it's existed. It's just been
Yeah.
most recently that I've come to realize mentally that wait a minute, this is not right. You know, it's not
Right.
always been like this. When I was a little kid, and I've only been alive for 24 years, but when I was young, they didn't have self checkout. I mean, you
You're
still
right.
had
Mm-hmm.
like 25, 30 checkout ladies and guys, you know, checking people out. And
Mm-hmm.
it was, I mean, even people who have like 50, 60, 70 items in their grocery cart, they're still going to the self checkout line. Now, I mean, you ask me, that's not right.
Right. I
And
understand if it's,
it's
you know, 3, 4 items, but like that, no. Their whole entire month's worth of groceries is bullshit.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Let them get their paycheck, you know. Um, I remember growing up, there was, and I have a very different name, Jaina. You don't hear that name very often. And back in the day when we had a Fairway in town, there was a gal there. Her name was Jaina, spelled exactly as mine at Safeway. And oh, I just said, Jaina's working. And I was, you know, probably 6. We have to go to Jaina's line because I just thought that was the coolest thing ever as a little kid. And we would go, and that's back in the day when they would actually punch in all the numbers. It wasn't the bing, 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 you know, the groceries through with the barcode. They actually had to punch in off the price tag the number and the stock number and then the price, you know. And I just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And then, you know, now it's like a convenience thing that we don't have to go and see somebody. If you're having a bad day, go through self checkout. Okay, we get it. We don't want you to be rude, you or me or the neighbor being rude to the checkout lady because we're having a bad day. I
right.
get that. But, you know, what my favorite thing is, and this is just dumb to say, but I'm just going to say it. My favorite thing is when I go through the checkout lane and say I have, you know, a bottle of wine or something. I'm 48 years old, coming on 49, and they ask me for my ID. I'm like, sure, I still get ID'd for soda. And then they laugh, and then I laugh. So they may be having a bad day, but you know what? I put a smile on their face,
Right.
whether it's a guy or a girl. That's just who I am.
Well, I get ID down here for my tobacco, and
I do too.
yes, and I laugh and I say, "Oh, right, I'm young again."
Right. And it makes you feel good. It actually, it's for me, it makes me feel good. I still get ID'd for cigarettes. I admit I'm a smoker, and you know, and you know, and I do have a, you know, a can of beer here and there, and I have a bottle of, or not a bottle of wine all at once, but a glass of wine here and there, or a wine cooler, and I still get ID'd for all that. And it's like, thanks, I feel young again. You know, do I look that young? Thank you. So it feels kind of nice. But yeah, you know, in this, in the social media and then just the regular TV media, you know, we're supposed to model these people on there, you know. And I watch, my dad is a big Fox News watcher, and you see these women on there and these men on there. This man is really good looking, not gonna
Right.
lie. And then these women are just gorgeous. They have these long, lean legs and high heels, and I'm sitting here thinking, really, really. It makes it. I mean, I'm glad that they have their job. I mean, of course, I'm glad they have their job, but even like what's his name, Al Roca on Good Morning America or whatever. He used to be a huge man, and then he had some surgery and watched his weight and watched his diet and da da da, and now he looks really good. And it's just like, where are the heavier people that are just as beautiful?
Right.
I mean, there's one gal that's on some TV show, Just Us or something. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I see it when I go to work. But she's a heavier set gal. I can't think of her name, but her face is absolutely gorgeous. But I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not making fun of her. She's as big around as my kitchen table. And I think she's beautiful, just gorgeous. And then there's Al Roca, he was heavier. I thought he was nice looking when he was heavy. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just the weirdo. I see people for who they are. I don't see the outside shell because, like I said, hour ago, you take that outside shell off of everybody, we all look the same. We're a bag of bones and organs. We
That's
all
true.
look the same. And that's where we've lost it somewhere. And I don't know when we lost that, but we did. We were all created
It's been
equal.
going on a long time. I've been up here doing TFL for a lot of years. And I guess what frustrates me the most is I would love to see an end for TFL. I would love to see all these guys that can't get a woman in their life to be able to actually find a woman, be happy, have companionship, have a mate, okay, and experience life, okay, be able to have children, the whole 9 yards. I wish that could all happen for everybody, okay?
Yes.
But I can tell you this right now. If we keep our hatred, then you're asking to stay alone. Okay?
Right.
And if women keep doing what they're doing, okay, then not a damn thing's gonna change even if you let go of your anger. Okay?
Right.
So yeah, we need a female ally. We need a female that's willing to get up and start talking to other women. And that is a reality. That's what needs to happen because women will listen to another woman more than they ever will a man, especially in today's society. If anybody's going to drill it through women's head, it's going to come from another woman. And if you're ever going to see an end to TFL, this is the way it's going to have to happen or it won't happen.
That's very true.
Yep, I agree.
You have to consider that, especially in these coastal cities, major metropolitan areas, there's a lot of women doing very well in corporate jobs. Now, obviously, for most of the continent, U.S. and Canada is not like this, but recently, I would say women are definitely doing better than men in these major cities, like with corporations. They work in HR, they're the nurses, and a lot of stuff a lot of these careers are going to women because society is pushing this fear of men as creeps, right? But here's the thing: we've got to be able to reach out to these women and say, look, do you want to live in a society where you have to live in a gated compound because you're surrounded by all, homeless men living TFL who are down on their luck? And like eventually the TFL issue is going to compound, get worse, and it's going to affect everybody. Even these women who are in, executive or CEOs or corporate jobs, do they really want to live in a gated community with security guards escorting their children around and whatnot?
It's already escalated. TFL is a whole lot bigger than it was 12 years ago, and it's doing nothing but growing and
Right.
growing.
It just brings to mind, like I feel thankful I'm not like this guy he came on the live stream chat. I think I don't know if it was a week ago or the week before. He lives in some sort of a group home or something, and to live in that situation economically, and then also be living TFL, getting all
I
cold
hear you. I
clothing.
totally
Yeah.
hear you on that because
Mhm.
I really feel for the guy. His name was Richard. I really feel for him myself. Okay. But here's a little something for you. In the group homes around America, they're taking the girls in and tying their tubes against their will. They don't have no
Yeah.
say so. That's going on right now here in America,
Yes.
right under people's nose.
Hmm.
Is that
Okay.
part of the
And
eugenics?
it's part of the eugenics. What do you think TFL is about? It's about eugenics. It's about divide and conquer. It's about dividing the genders up so they can control the births. Okay? You got to get the men who hating the women, and you got to get the women hating the men. They've done a
Right.
wonderful job. The live stream that I'm doing now, right in the chat section, proves that. All you got to do is listen to these guys. But yet, these will be the same guys that's going to be complaining about how they're being treated by women while they're treating the women the very same way they're complaining about.
Well,
Right.
these guys in the chat, even if they've grown to hate women because of MGTOW creators and whatnot, and I can't, like I said, I can't fault all of them because most of them are just not mature, and most of them haven't actually listened to what you're saying, Bill. So there's that. But all they need to understand is I think they can at least understand if we have women come onto the show who are willing to listen about the social engineering and willing to take the time to understand TFL, then that's going to create an opportunity for people like Jaina to be how would I say this? Communicate to other women because women they're not gonna usually they're gonna have their guard up around guys like you and me, Bill or Harry or whoever. But if somebody like Jaina, I think I'm saying you're Jaina,
Jana, that's correct.
Jaina, are able to understand the issue, like if we give them a chance, then it's gonna how am I gonna say this? Then other women who are online or whatever on looking up YouTube live streams, they're going to be more open-minded if they see a woman in the chat to actually take the time to listen about TFL and understand that we've got 30% of men who are living TFL. We've got probably 10 to 15% who will never find a woman in their life. And and along with an economy that's moving to a winner take all economy, you're going to have homeless TFLers. It's just setting the stage for riots, for a total shit show in the future. So if a few intelligent women like Jaina can come to understand the severity of TFL and especially how it relates to the economy, then I think we can actually push some positive change, if that makes sense. Whereas if it's nothing but men in the chat, unfortunately people are not willing to open their mind to what a men's group online on a YouTube live stream has to say, because well they're just a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
The optics. So yeah,
They got static there when he tried to talk. He was nice and clear. I don't know what happened to him there. Try it again, Drunk Hulk.
yeah, is it working now?
Now you're better, yes.
Yeah. So I was saying, I don't expect these guys in the chat.
Oh, he's got a problem with your headset or your mic. Have you got something like, I don't know, if you got a headset on?
Uh-oh, hope we didn't lose him.
He's muted himself right now. He's probably looking for the problem. Let's give him a moment, see if he can't figure it out. Okay. And meanwhile, why don't we let Harry speak? Okay.
Sure.
So if you're there, Harry, go for it.
Excuse me.
Right now, thanks everyone for being on tonight. I've enjoyed listening to this conversation, but I'm probably gonna go out soon, just go to sleep. I'm just really tired. But thanks for being here, guys.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Harry. Harry's time is like way ahead of ours, like 6 hours ahead of
Right.
us.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in, Harry.
Thank you too, Jenna. Thank you.
Take
Sleep
care,
well.
Harry.
Yeah, this is not about simping out. This is not about anything else than if you're ever going to make a difference. And I know the world is really bad and we're almost too far gone now. And I know a lot of people tell you we're too far gone. But I'll tell you what, you either got to stand up as a man and fight back as a man, stand up as a woman and fight back, or you're all going to die as cowards on your knees. You
Right.
cannot keep holding on to understand the stuff that's being said. A woman will reach other women better than a man will, especially in today's society. Okay? So it is something that's actually needed if you're ever going to make an effect. And if you don't want to see an effect, then obviously you must love living the life you're living. And therefore, if that's the case, then you might as well just stop complaining and whining. Because,
Right.
okay, you could call me all the names in the book, but that's because you're not using your brain.
Right. And I've seen a couple of comments where, the chat is gay because I'm on here. I've seen that. And yeah, I'm gay. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Okay? Yeah, that's just it. Okay? It's
Right.
nothing.
I just laugh. I'm a very happy person. So call me gay. I don't care.
Well, that's just it. I mean, you have to wonder where these people in this chat's minds are at. I mean, what? Do you love living in misery? I mean,
Of course not.
I understand that you're angry. I understand you've been pushed into
Right.
TFL. I understand you've been treated like complete dirt by the female gender. I'm not against you for that. Okay, but I'm trying to do something that could cause other women to listen and other women to speak out. There's an old saying that's actually true. Where the women shall go, the men shall follow. Okay? So you better want to think about that a moment. If women
Right.
start speaking up in your behalf, that could make a difference. Whether you want to believe it or not, it could make a difference. But if you're not willing to give it a chance, then I guess you must love the life you're living, huh?
Right.
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 It's true.
And
Wow.
that's exactly how I feel about that. It's sad. I would have had Steve Hoke on here if he wanted to come in, but Steve Hoke chose, I'll just be in the chat. And then he says
Yeah, I
he's
see that.
tired. And then after he says he's tired, he says, I'm going to do a live stream at 2 a.m.
Oh, well, let him
Well,
do his live stream. That's okay.
Well,
That's all good.
Steve
So-
is very, whatever you call the personality type, very I don't know if it's impulsive, but I was a bit like that before. I had to kind of get it under control. I'd be up till 4 a.m. a lot. I don't know if I
Yeah,
can make.
but the reality is Steve's a good guy. I like Steve Hoka, okay? But I don't think he understands that this is a war that we're in. Literally, you're fighting evil versus good here, okay?
Right.
Evil has caused this situation for us, okay? We can never overthrow this for all these other guys if we cannot stand up for ourselves. And if you're going to stay divided and you're going to be so angry because a female came in this live stream, all because it's the opposite gender, you're only doing what they did. You're going to say, well, yeah, we're doing what women does to her. Okay, well, then I guess you would like to see yourself be alone for the rest of your life. You would like to continue to keep whining and whining. And if you want to whine, you can go over to SBO's channel and join the Whiners Club. Okay, this is for the people who need diapers and, well, Natans, and maybe some baby bottles and maybe some pacifiers.
Right.
And I hate to
Sorry, I was
say
trying to
that. I
laugh.
don't like being that way because I'm
Right.
not trying to be critical, of you guys, but I'm trying to get you to understand the reality. The reality is we've all had a very hard life with TFL. I lived it myself for 28 years. Then I lived it again. I know what you're going through. Okay? I'm trying to fight back against the powers to be who are enjoying what you men are saying. They're looking, wow, we got these guys right where we want them. They're all bent over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Very true.
Because this is what the people at the top have done to us, and they're enjoying the hell out of you people. They're loving it. You're the perfect patsy. I mean, you got sucker wrote across your forehead. You don't want to believe that there's not one woman that could be a good woman on this earth because of your life experiences. I understand that, but you think that you would want to see an end. Okay? The only chance we ever stand to an end to anything is for men and women to come together. And that
Yes.
can never happen. Okay, will never happen if you people keep up with the attitude you got.
Right. Right. Exactly. And I agree with that. Men and women need to come together, that's where we come back, come all the way full force back to the dating scene today, which is a lot of times it's the wrong type of dating scene. Let's get to know each other. You and I, Bill, were accused of, oh, this is your new girlfriend. No, whoever said that, it's us getting to know each other as friends. People just don't see it that way. They just automatically assume. Stop automatically assuming.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're making assumptions right off the bat. It's,
Right.
oh, I know. No, you don't.
Uh,
No, you don't at all. You just think you know.
they think they know, and they don't know shit.
Exactly. And it's sad because I'm really trying to make a valid effort to get you guys to see what's really taking place.
Right.
You need a female who's willing to come up and start speaking out to other women and calling them on their wrongs, calling them about taking the guy to the cleaners in the courts, calling them about using the men and laughing because they're on their ego trip, calling them out for their behaviors.
Right. Right. And you know what? Here's a good one on the whole women calling men out on stuff, like with the divorce. Okay, I'm divorced. I have been divorced. And you know what? I could have taken this man for half of everything, half of his 401k, half of the equity in the house, half of this, half of that. You know what? When I divorced him, I wanted my fair share of our tax return that year. That was it. This is the honest to God truth. I have no reason to lie. I took $5,000. I should have actually taken closer to about 8 because 4 of the kids on the tax return were mine. But I only took $5,000, you know, part of it out of checking, part of it out of savings, our personal belongings, and I left and I divorced him. I didn't get him for alimony. I didn't get him for half of everything. I didn't do none of that. And he was so worried that I was going to do it. He didn't bother to show up to court. He did not show up to the court hearing. So, I'm there with no lawyer, it's pro se. And of course, they listened to the criminal stuff first. And then it was all these court hearings for divorce and whatever else. And I'm like, I turned around and I looked at all like 6 couples or 6 other men and women. And I'm like, wow, bunch of big wimps, and the judge laughed and I'll go first. So I did. And he goes, what's up? And I just basically said I wanted a divorce. What about alimony? Nope. I don't want no part of that. You know that once I say you're divorced, so to speak, you can't come back on your word. I said, nope, I did not earn that 401k. I'm not the one who bought that house. I'm not the one who did this. I'm not the one who did that. In my opinion, that's stealing. He goes, really? And I said, yes. He has every right to all of his things. I just can't be married to a man that I no longer love. And the way he, he treated my kids like shit, but that's not the point. The point is, I didn't take him for everything he had. I just took my fair share, what I thought was my fair share of our tax return that year, and I left. Me and my kids, we packed our shit and we left. That was it. It was done. And to this day, he still can't believe I didn't take him for a run for his money. That's not how I was raised. Doesn't mean my parents are perfect and raised me perfect. That's not what it means.
That's just it. It's not every single woman.
It's not every single woman. It wasn't me.
Even my son's mother, she could have had custody of my son, and the judge was flipping the paperwork around and giving her back custody when she flipped out on the judge and denied it. Okay? I mean, she didn't have to do that, right?
Right.
Okay? And she didn't want any of my materialistic items. She didn't care. She didn't care. It was
Right.
never about that.
Yep. Same for me. It was never about any of that.
But yet all of you guys are sitting there, well, this is so many guys online want to say right away, well, this is what the woman's going to do to you. Well, there is a high number of women doing exactly that. But it's still not every woman. And this is why the women that are good women really need to come up and make a channel and start speaking to other women and calling them out. And you need a woman to come up and speak out in the behalf of men, because other good women will hear this. So actually, that's really needed. But I guess that's above most guys' IQs, huh?
Yeah.
That's a great point, Bill.
Right. Very good point. Very good point.
It's sad. It shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't.
And as much as I like Steve Hoka, I can be disappointed in him tonight because I know the only reason he didn't come on this live stream is because she's here. I wasn't born yesterday. Okay.
And I knew when you brought me on live that I would get a lot of heat. And I'm watching some of the feed, and like I said, it was called gay and a wow man or something. And I'm just like, what? Okay, that's fine. It's all good. I just sit here and watch and okay, say what you want to say. I'm not taking it personal. I got strong skin. And but the funny thing, I was called basically insinuated as gay, and I'm like, sure, I'm a very happy person because that's the definition of gay. So,
right.
Technically, and then if they want to go so far as so I shouldn't really just assume, but I'm going to, and I'm probably get heat for this too eventually on the chat side of it. If I get called a fag or something, well, technically a fag is a cigarette butt. So I guess I'm a cigarette butt. So anyway, bring it on. I do, like I said, I've been through the second grade. I know my context clues. So, I feel bad for these men. I do. It's not fair to them. My heart just goes out to the men that are going through this because it's not fair to them. And I've been married and divorced. I'm a widow to my last husband, and I loved him dearly, and he was the best thing that ever happened to me. I have men that are friends. I picked my friends, the one guy I dated and it didn't work out, but we're still best friends. I pick my friends for what comes from inside. And if other people don't like what they look like, well, I don't care. He's my friend. And if you don't like it, you can just keep walking. Just like Bill, I consider him a dear friend. If people don't like it on chat, keep walking, because I'm not going to give a Bill for anybody. The only way Bill's going to get rid of me is if he kicks me out and doesn't want to talk to me again. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But
Yeah. Well, I don't. I actually don't see
So-
that happening. I really don't.
that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
You
Because it's the reality is I'm going to judge somebody by their actions, not their words. Okay. The reason
Right.
the reason I ever got to know this woman to begin with was because of her actions.
Right.
Okay. This is what you people don't understand. That's the only reason I ever got to know her to begin with was because of her actions. And when I talked to her, I realized that what I'd already suspected. You actually have a really good woman here. But you all just made your assumption already, right? Okay? Out of your anger. That told you nothing.
Right. They have no clue who I am. And I just noticed on here on the chat line, this Matt Smith said something about that's not nice, Trace. It's about love, not sex. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. It is about love. It's not about sex.
That's right.
That's what a relationship should be about. Like we've said 15,000 times, getting to know each other, hopefully eventually falling in love, then the intimacy. It should be the other stuff first, not sex the first night.
I've said this so many times that sex
So
belongs at
I
the
just had to
last
throw
of the
that
list.
out there.
I
So I
know.
wanted to say thank
I'm
you to Matt
glad,
Smith.
though. I'm glad they heard it from you, because this is the reality. It's not about sex at the beginning of the list. That's what the media wants you to do. Why?
Right.
Because they know it will destroy any chance of a relationship you ever have.
Right.
Right.
Along with the whole women gold digger thing. And I just proved my point a minute ago. I'm not a gold digger because I just took, like I said, just part of that tax return. And we didn't have any kids together. My ex-husband, I had mine from a previous marriage. I've been divorced twice. I'm not gonna lie. I had all my kids from a previous marriage. Then we had what do they call that? A mixed children marriage or whatever. And when it was over, because he was not nice to my children, it was just like, bye, taking what I think is my fair share of the tax return only. We packed up our stuff and we left, our own personal belongings. I just took nothing that was his, even so much as a pan, I did not take that was his. I just took our stuff, we left, and that was it. I did my, I just don't believe in, even if we are married 30 years, I'm not going to take you for everything you have. And this is where I'm just going to say, people I know, you were dumb for not getting alimony. Okay, maybe I was dumb, but you know what? That was my choice. I didn't earn that money. I didn't work for how many years at the same processing plant that my ex-husband did to earn all that 401k, to buy that house, to do this, to do that. That wasn't my money. I didn't earn it. And then you've got these women that are like, well, I want alimony and I want half of everything and I want half of this and half of that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
They don't care if the guy lives in a cardboard box, okay, because he can't afford to keep up with child support and alimony. They don't care. Because we've lost care in society. The cremation of care is right here in your face in the chat.
Right. I mean, some of these things I'm reading is just, some of it's really positive and some of it's not so positive, but I can appreciate that why it's not positive. Some of it's not really nice at all, which I still can appreciate, but it just blows my mind. These good men out there are just getting shit on. They are, and it's not right. And it's not right. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. And if I have to come on every Saturday or every other Saturday or once every so often Saturday, I will, because I'm going to stand up for these men, because they're getting the short end of the stick.
They are. But
They
know,
really truly are.
yeah, the best thing you could do is draw other women to listen and draw other women to the good women to start speaking up themselves against other women, okay, and start shaming these other women for the behaviors so they have to back up and recheck themselves.
Right.
Because
That's a
it's,
good point.
yes, exactly, because just like the men in here, you better back up and recheck your own damn behavior. Because you've fallen for the social engineering just like these other women have that are doing this. There are still good people out here, but we have to pull the good people together, I guess, huh?
Right.
It's very true.
Yes.
And Jana, I think it's great that you came on the live stream. Bill, as far as I'm concerned, I think your channel is the only in the community that's had women guests come and speak about this topic. I don't think there's any other channel in the manosphere that's ever had women on the show, and that's a living testimony to something special is happening here on your live streams. I truly believe it.
We should also mention that Bill's not just going to let in any woman who pushes the narrative that TFL and Incel are the same thing, which is a load of crap.
Yeah, that's a bunch of
but
nonsense.
Jana's open-minded enough, and she has definitely listened to Bill, has established a rapport with him, and most of all, she has true empathy for people. Like, to be honest with you, if I was in a bad relationship where, let's say, my hypothetical wife, did something really shitty to me, I would probably think about taking that alimony. I'm not gonna lie. I am far from an angel. I
And like I said, no one's perfect.
yeah.
You know, and I can appreciate that. I really truly can understand that. You know, everyone's different. And if that you, like you said, if you took that alimony, there's no shame in that. There, in my opinion, there's no shame in it. If you feel like something horrific happened and you deserved it, then go for it.
Right. Whereas, let's say if it was a different scenario where I had done something wrong, or let's say, I don't know, like we just weren't meant for each other. But
Sure.
let's say something unfortunate happened to her. She lost her job, or somebody like her or somebody in her family got cancer. Well, then I'm going to make sure to give her at least half or more of that money, even if it was legally meant for me. It really depends on the scenario, the situation,
Right.
the
Right.
specifics.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And you know, and that's why a lot of it was why I chose what I did with my divorce. And I saw somebody say women are too quick to divorce. I was married to the guy for 8 years, and he did it was a mixed family. I had children from a prior marriage, which he treated the kids, his own children, like, I'm just going to say crap. I'm not bashing. I'm just being honest. I mean, he was physically abusive to the children and emotionally. And then the second marriage, he was just as bad. And, but I just felt like, I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm the weird one. I didn't take him for everything he had. I just wanted part of that tax return to be able to get back on my feet, because I knew I would start with nothing again and put food on the table for my kids. And but sometimes alimony is needed. You know, if it all depends on the scenario, like you said, it all depends on the situation.
Right. Like, alimony, in a way, in certain scenarios, is needed because there's a lot of unpaid work that goes on in households, namely raising children. Right. It's a lot
Right.
that's unpaid work right there. So
Right.
got to take
Right.
that into account.
Right. You're right. I mean, I have one child who's 24 and he's special needs, and he lives in a group home with boys his age, young men his age. Like, he's not a boy anymore. He's a young man, 24 years old, and he's 24, but he's got the mentality. He's very smart, but he's got the mentality of about a 12-year-old, and with some stuff. But Oh my God, can that little guy spell? Oh, holy crap. He could be probably one of the world's best spellers. He's got, really awesome stuff about him. And then he's got other little quirks like we all do. And he does make bad choices at times, like we all do. But he's in a home for special needs people. And but otherwise, I mean, he's a great kid. He just needs that extra 24-hour attention that I have tried my hardest to do, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't be there 24/7 because to do that, I couldn't work. And I had to work to be able to provide for him. So, and he just wasn't following, normal household rules. And I mean, normal. I mean, they weren't so strict and structured. I wasn't an army mother, drill sergeant. Keep your room clean. Pick up after yourself. Help me fold this load of laundry. Minor stuff. Unload the dishwasher with me. Together. I don't want to do that. You can't make me do that. So I was like, okay, what do I do now? And it was the autism, the Asperger's, which is a type of autism. And I didn't realize all that. So decided that it was best for him to be in a more of a structured environment than I could give him. And you know what? I see him all the time. We talk all the time on the phone, over text. And then come to find out he's telling me untrue stories about some of the staff that works with him. And I just told him, I was like, Kirk, I love you. And he's like, I love you too, Mom. I said, but if you're going to tell me untrue stories, we're not going to talk for a couple days. Well, I tell you what, that sure changed. I wasn't rude about it. I just said, we're not going to talk for a few days. And it kind of connected with him, which I was so stoked about. And he's like, oh, okay, Mom. And then he started telling me true stories. It took him a minute to realize that Mom means business. So, I've got that child. I've got it. Like I said, I didn't lie. I got a child in prison who's 20. God, I have too many kids to count, but he's 26-ish. I think he'll be 26 this year. He's in prison for some bad choices. He'll get out in April. Am I excited to see him for the first time in a long time? Yes, I am. Do I hold against him his bad choices? I did at first. The last 3 years, not anymore. I had my own growing up to do in some sense. So I'm not perfect by any means. And I don't pretend to be. I will always, I've always held myself accountable for my words and my actions. I apologize if I'm wrong and admit that I'm wrong to the best of my ability. And, you know, and there's been a bunch of male bashing on him. And I'm like, don't talk about my child that way. Well, he's not a child. He's 20, we'll say 26 years old. He's still my child. That's my baby. He's the only one other than my other children. They're the only ones that know what my heart sounds like from inside. So don't be sitting there and bashing on my kids. They make mistakes. Your kids make mistakes. The neighbors' kids make mistakes. Don't talk about my kids. So, yeah. I know I went off on a tangent there, but I just had to throw that out there.
Touching on the point that y'all were talking about earlier, there is, I believe, still a lot of good women out there. Speaking from experience, actually, my family and I, we have a tradition. We go up to Colorado to go snowboarding every Christmas in Pagosa Springs.
Oh,
Small
cool.
town, like 1,500, 2,000 people. And we went there this past year. And on the last day, we usually go gift shopping downtown before we head back home to Dallas. And well, this was about 4 weeks ago or so. So we were there this Christmas, and I was inside one of the antique shops just searching for gifts or whatever. And young lady about my age, she actually approached me and started talking to me. One of the locals, she had lived there her whole life. And we started just making small talk, chatting. I asked her about her life, her upbringing. She asked me about mine. And you know, we came from much different backgrounds, but I just thought it was really cool to be able to sit there and talk with a woman my age for a good solid 25, 30 minutes before I left. And it gave me a lot of, I mean, it really brightened my spirits and gave me a lot of hope that, you know,
Awesome.
I can run into this experience again. And maybe, I mean, we're going to go back up there next year. So, um, with her being a local, you know, there's a good chance I may run into her again and I might be able to, make something out of it. You know, I wish I would have
Yeah.
given her my number or asked her for hers so we could keep in touch. But, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. But I mean, just going through a positive experience like that will change your perspective. And I think that's something that a lot of these men going through TFL, they need.
Right. I think that's really cool. That's really awesome. I hope that does work out. That would be so cool for you.
You know, I want the best for everybody. I think everybody deserves an opportunity to have that experience that they're truly looking for. And I mean, like I said, I understand the anger and the jealousy, um, of a lot of men going through the situation. But
Right.
just because you're pissed off at society, that doesn't mean you should be incentivized to treat every woman you come in contact with like absolute crap, whether she's
Right.
a good person or not. Because until you truly take the time to get to know that person, you'll never know if something could be there. And
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly what I've been saying. Yep.
That's exactly it. You know, I had a question for you. So, Jana,
Yeah.
what do you think about the era of bad boys and women chasing bad boys?
oh gosh,
Ugh. Women chasing bad boys.
That was a big thing for a lot of years.
Um, I guess, you know, back in the day, I suppose when I was 16, you know, I maybe I need a better definition of bad boys, but maybe when I was 16 years old, maybe I kind of chased them. But now that I'm an adult, you know, you know, I guess if girls want to do that, let them, but they're making themselves look, I don't want to say stupid because that's really just a rude word. It just makes them look bad. And this bad boy, you know, he's got, you know, the muscles and the muscle car and the muscle truck or whatever. And I don't know, maybe he smokes weed. I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the definition of a bad boy, but I think, I don't know. I just put those guys to the side to an extent. Um, but then again, on the other hand of it, maybe they're trying to play that bad boy image when they're really technically deep down a good guy.
right?
You know, they could be really, they're playing the bad boy image to attract a woman, but then once you get to know them over time, he really isn't this bad boy. He was
Right.
just playing, he was being
Yeah,
that image to just see if that would attract a mate or a girlfriend. And come to find out, this kid, this young man, this bad boy, I'd say we'll just throw out 25 years old, we'll just use that as the age, um could be the best thing that this girl ever met, the best thing that ever happened to her. And he doesn't do drugs, or he doesn't do this, and he's got, you know, and I'm not trying to, you know, supersede myself here, or whatever. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, he's doing what he can to make a living. He's doing what he can to possibly have an apartment or a house or I don't care if it's a trailer home. Who gives a shit? It's still a roof over his head,
Yeah,
you
what you
know.
got? What the thing is we had a big era for a long time of bad boys, and there's still some women doing it. And then we have what all men were told: nice guys come in last. Women don't want
I've heard
anything.
that.
Yep, and women don't want anything to do with nice guys.
Yeah, I got her. Okay, speaking of good friends, I have another good friend. His name, he lives here in the same town as I do, and I met him down here at the little Prano station, and he's got a ZZ Top beard, the big long beard, and but his hair is shaved pretty close to his scalp, and his ears are gauged. If everybody knows what that means, they're gauged with those weird, semi-tire rims, And I don't laugh to making fun of him. I just laugh because I don't know what that gauge is. But anyway, and you know what? He and I get along. There's times he'll come over and we'll have a couple beers, watch a couple movies, and then he goes home. He's a great kid. It doesn't. Again, it's not about the looks. It's about what. I mean, he can get me to laugh. He'll come up with the most random shit, and I won't lie, and everybody can make fun of me over chat and live. He had me laughing the other night so hard that I actually accidentally tooted out loud. And he's like, I heard you. And I'm like, well, stop making me laugh so hard. Stop. About wet myself. He was making me laugh so hard. And he is a good friend of mine, but the ZZ Top beard. And and he's like, it is amazing, isn't it? Come here, smell it. So jokingly, oh God, do I have to? Yes, I got a new beard shampoo. It's so awesome. And so I go over and I've smelt his beard and it smells really good. It's like, whatever. It's fresh and clean smelling. And he's just the dude. I mean, he's kind of a dork, but he's my dork. He's my friend and he's my dork. And I just love him. He's not your normal typical friend, I guess, that most people would think that I would have. But you know what? That's what I like about me. I like these different people. That's
Right.
me. I don't
Sorry
care
to-
about the
sorry-
beard. Who cares?
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
Bill,
go ahead.
Bill, this guy in the chat under the name of Steve Hoka, it's not the real Steve. I just saw it. You can't go to his channel.
Oh wow.
Some sort of a troll job that we've got going on in the
Okay.
chat.
Well, that's
yeah,
that's very well possible.
because
Okay.
Steve wouldn't delete his
No,
comments
I've
like
never
that.
seen Steve do that before. Okay. I just know Steve seemed a little upset tonight. Okay, there's for sure. And and I'm sure it's because of the female that's on the show, which is sad to see that happen. Okay. Because I caught Steve say the reason he didn't come into the live stream with us tonight is because he was tired. And then he turned around and asked everybody that he was going to do a live stream at 2 a.m., which means really don't make any sense. If you're tired, why would you stay up to do a live stream after my show's over?
Right.
Maybe he wanted to take a nap for a couple hours, wake back up, and do a stream of his own. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't answer that. Yeah.
I don't think it's because of Jaina being on the show, though, because it wouldn't really make any sense. He was willing to come into the chat when, what was that other woman's name? Annika?
Yeah.
He was fine with coming into the chat when she was here, but...
Well, the difference between Annika and Jaina is he knew that Annika was a plant, okay? He knew Annika was an agent like Monday, a Florida establishment, okay? And he wanted to call her out, okay?
Gotcha.
So that would be the only difference there. Steve Hoka posted a video earlier today, and I thought it was a great video. But towards the end, he made the statement that there'll be, and that girl had nothing to do, that Randy girl has nothing to do with TFL, but yet he's made the statement in that video that, okay, that there'll be no women in the TFL movement, okay? I don't consider it a movement, I consider it awareness, but that had nothing to do with that video, and he brought that up. Okay.
Right.
And then he made sure not to come into this stream tonight because she's here. And I know that's why he didn't come in. Okay. Because he totally disagrees that a woman should be in the show, but he clearly don't understand that's only keeping the problem alive and the elite love it.
I agree.
And I feel bad that he didn't come in because I think, I hope I have made some comments that would have made him feel better.
Well, I think what it is he don't have trust for women because so many women have broke that trust.
Well, true. That's true. That's very true.
Okay, and so it's going to be up to a woman to prove she's real in his eyes before he's going to start trusting that woman. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think that's where that's coming from.
Right. I see this one thing. I've seen it about 5 times now. Trance gamer. What does that mean? Or is that the name?
I think
Oh
that's his
yeah.
name. It sounds like probably a gamer himself who just
Okay.
created that name.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Is Drunk Hope still here with us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you
I can
are.
hear you.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, I lost my train of thought there.
I know how that goes.
Yeah, that happens with me a lot. I don't know if it's the medication I'm on. It
Yeah,
gives
me
me
too.
brain fog.
I do see somebody by the name of Censored says, "How do I join, Bill?"
Well, they have to send me a friend invite on Zoom. So they have to download Zoom. They have to send me a friend invite. And then they're going to have to be willing to talk to me off the show so I can get to know who they are before I let them on the show, thanks to certain people like Ron Fan.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Hopefully he heard that. That way, you know.
Okay, because that's the only way I'm going to allow people on the show that I don't know because we got trolled 2 weeks in a row. The second week, I fixed it so we couldn't be trolled just to have somebody that I brought into the show by the name of Ron Fan get mad and troll us. Oh, he denies it to this day, but his mistake was coming in and out of the chat with different accounts at the same time. Like, we don't know that you can't do that on Zoom. Okay.
Mhm.
Right.
And there would only be one way somebody could have gotten the ID number. They literally had to have been invited into the show to get the ID number to do that with.
Right. Right.
Okay. And conveniently, the last time, right after I booted Anik out of the show, was when the trolling started. And who was it was responsible for bringing Anik into the show? Ron Fan.
Ah, gotcha.
So he told on himself. Okay, that's really where that comes from.
Okay, what is this? Incel problem is because societies that politicize religion often have these standards where they suppress eroticism until their ego is affected. What?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not agreeing with that. I was looking at this person
Yeah.
who's claiming to be Steve Hoka, and I don't
Hmm.
believe in the 1 minute that's Steve Hoka. Okay, and normally
Right.
you'd be able to check the channel, but they'll hurry up and delete it immediately, so the
Right.
channel
Message
get,
retracted.
which
Yep.
means the channel can't be checked. So therefore, they've been removed from the show and hid from the channel. Goodbye, phony.
Well,
Right.
there's all she wrote.
Right.
Okay,
Crazy.
well, that's the type of shit you have to do. What they're doing is using Steve's name to troll the show. They
Right.
can't come in and troll the show, so now they're going to use Steve Hoka's name to troll the show in the chat. That's why they were removing it right away, trying to stay in here and troll.
Right. Gotcha.
So I
I
just
mean, the minute I
took them
see his
out.
name, message retracted.
Yeah.
Immediate. I mean, it is immediate. And somebody called him out on it too. Somebody said, "Fake Steve, leave your comment up long enough so I can read it." MK. That was Andy Burke. Thank you, Andy. For real. No,
Going-
and then he
oh.
goes off with his head. Jeez. Oh boy, I tell you.
Yeah, well, we have so much corruption in today's society and so much damn
Yeah,
division.
it is.
And it gets to me because I fight
It does.
so hard to try to get people to see what's really taking place. And to ever make TFL go away, we have to be able to reach women. Okay,
I agree.
and you're not going to reach women through just men. It ain't
Right.
gonna happen.
No,
That's true.
no. Women have got to, like, okay, well, I'm just going to use me. Like, someone like me has to stand up to the women that do make the good women look bad. And maybe I'm the only one. I would love if this Annika, I don't know if she's even
I
out
would
there
think
tonight.
well, Annika's an agent, but what she speaks. She's done double speak and stuff. I would think if you was to start speaking out, okay, even if you don't put your face out there or anything like that, if you was to start speaking out towards women, okay, as a
Mhm.
woman, yeah, you're gonna get some women haters, okay, but I think that you would reach good women who would actually agree with you,
Right,
and that would make a difference because then more women, good women, would come along, and
right,
then they could come over here on this show with you, and you would have more women speaking out, which will cause more women to catch on, okay, and that would be the real way to break the ice, okay, because
right,
it's got to start somewhere.
right.
Now,
Yep.
Drunk Coke had to reboot his router because he was losing his connection.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now it's down to just Hayden Rose and you and I.
No, that's okay. I like the name Hayden. And you know what's ironic? The coolest thing, Hayden just seems like a wonderful young man. I'm just telling you that. But the cool thing is when I first started our chat tonight, when I mentioned how I met Bill was through that video with Caleb Leverett on YouTube. He had seen the YouTube video. It's an hour and like 15-minute long video. Um, one of his sons' name is Hayden,
Oh,
and
very
I'm
cool.
just like, very cool. How cool is that? Because Bill stood up for Caleb and his kids in his video, and I had seen the video, and it wasn't even a week later, and then Bill happened across that video, and that's how I met Bill. And I'm just like, wow, this guy, he sees it the same way I do. This woman is just a, sorry to say, but she was just a bitch. She just, and she just kept saying, I mean, you have to watch the video sometime. Just go on to Caleb Leverett's YouTube channel and watch the original Parker video. That was his eldest son's name, Parker. And there's this long hour plus video where this mother is trying to get her son out of the car, and Parker didn't want to get out. He was 14 at the time. Now he's probably 21.
Oh
But
man.
and the mother is just narcissistic, and she trying, and she was a parental alienator, and at one point she tells this kid, you probably remember this, Bill, I can't, I wouldn't, I won't snatch you up bald headed, or however she said it, because I believe that Caleb would shoot me. And the dad is sitting there videoing Caleb, and he's like, I'm unarmed. And I'm like, what are you saying to your child? He's 14. You don't say shit like that. And so, but that's how I originally met Bill. And Bill's like, now this mom, and he was just ripping about this mother. And I'm like, I like this guy.
Oh wait, I know. I think I've seen the video that you're talking about.
Yep.
I
They're
I,
sitting
I
in a
think I
pickup.
have. Yes,
Yep.
yes. I remember that video. Oh my gosh, it's all coming back to me now.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And that's how I met Bill, because he had that video, and I saw the original Parker video. And then all of a sudden I see this Bill Greathouse. I don't remember what your name was back then on that Parker video, but Bill just was like, the dad didn't do anything wrong. He was just real cool, calm, and collected, and
Oh yeah.
just was videoing for everyone's protection, especially his own, which I get, you know, and that's how I met Bill. And I was just like, I mentioned, I'm like, wow, I appreciate you standing up for this guy. Not a lot of people do. And I met another guy who I follow on Facebook. His name is Randy. And he had a video where his ex-girlfriend is just screaming at him. You think you're of your kids more and blah blah, and they don't effing listen to me. And the kids are in the back seat of the pickup, the way
Oh
she's
wow.
talking and screaming. And I'm just like, what are you doing? What are
Yeah.
you doing? And there's times, my grandkids, I've got 4. One is just 6 years old down to almost a year old. And I don't yell at my grandkids. I don't. I made mistakes as a mom. Moms make mistakes. There were times I raised my voice at my kids, and I have to live with that. But my grandkids, I'm like, no, we're not going to talk this way. Let's whatever. And if we're going to be like that, we're going to take, if 6 years old, we're going to take a 6-minute timeout. Let's calm down, and then we'll discuss whatever. And you know what? The grandkids listen. I do not have not one problem with one of my grandkids, not one.
Wow, that's awesome.
It really is. I have really good grandbabies, and 2 boys, 2 girls, 3 of them from my eldest daughter and 1 from my younger daughter. And I tell you what, I just love them with all my heart. They're great kids. They really are. And they're
So
all
you've got a big family.
I do. I do. I've got 4 kids and I got 4 grandkids. And well, my family is tiny compared to my brother. My eldest brother has 9 children.
Oh my goodness.
And then his eldest boy has 4 kids. So he has 4 grandkids from just his eldest son. And, same dad, same mom, they're married. And then they had their 4 children and they're all done having kids now. But when we get together, it's like 60 people.
Goodness gracious. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome.
So, and what's really cool is, again, my parents, they've been married 55 years coming this next month. Wow. And it's really a good time. I enjoy seeing them all. We have a good time. Everybody chips in and brings a couple of dishes, because I sure as heck can't afford. My dad expects me to get this all ready, which is fine. And I'm like, can everybody chip in, bring a dish or 2, and it works out good. And we always have way too much food, and we're all miserable because we've all eaten too much by the time the night's over, but it's fine, and that's where that started, getting to know each other. Now, my parents weren't perfect. When I got older, about 19, 20 years old, because I am, again, blonde, a little bit ditzy, I realized my parents, they got married in 1965, and I'm looking and I'm thinking, my sister was born in 1965. Oh, mom, dad, really? Ew, poof, gross, nasty. You don't think of your parents doing that. They made it naughty. And, they got married in February and my sister was born in August. So exactly, but they made it through their marriage. They started their own company. My dad made it huge. My mother supported him through the whole thing. And now my brothers run and own the company because my dad has retired. And, a lot of people know him as his nickname. And actually, in the Sioux City area, South Sioux City, Fremont, Nebraska, South Dakota, down in Missouri, they all know my dad. And you can't get far away from my dad because any little thing that happens here, and I live in a little town about 20 minutes away from my dad, he knows everything that goes on over here. And it's like, gee, God, I'm 20 minutes away and my dad is checking on me. But I appreciate it because that's what family does. And it's really cool. It really is. It actually is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but that's a blessing.
It really is. I love my dad with all my heart. I go and see my dad every Wednesday. I spend the day with him, and then together we go and see my mom at the home and spend time with her, even if she's having a bad day. She does have her bad moments with the dementia. And of course, she's going through the mean phase. And so I go in and, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to go for a little walk inside. When you're feeling better, I'll come back around and we'll visit, okay? And of course, she calls me Judy, which is her sister who passed from dementia. And I just pretend I'm Judy. You just go along with the flow. But yeah, I tell you what, family to me is just everything. Everything. My family means everything to me.
when you got a good connection with your family, it really is. I don't
Yep.
think there's no such thing as a perfect parent.
Oh
Okay,
no,
and that
nope.
just don't happen. That would be well, that would be a fantasy, wouldn't it?
It would. None of us, and I'm going to bring up the women here, good and bad both. None of us, when we give birth, when you give birth to that beautiful baby, not outcomes after that. I'm just going to be, literally biological here, anatomical here. The My kids call me a nurse, and I'm not a nurse, but anyway, the nurse, I guess, according to my kids coming out, the placenta follows, not a the book. What do they call it? Being a mommy for dummies. You don't get a handbook when you give birth. You just do the best you can, hopefully. So I think I did okay. At least my kids tell me I did. So, but the male bashing thing, I did not raise my kids to male bash. I did not raise my kids to female bash. And if I ever catch them doing it, they're going to hear, well, we'll just say my mouth is loaded because I don't believe in it. But if
Absolutely.
it's, now if it's a legitimate thing, my younger daughter, her now ex-boyfriend strangled her almost to, I mean, well, not even almost. She ended up in the hospital because of it.
Oh my goodness.
EMTs were called. Okay, he deserves to be called a POS. He's a piece of poop. I don't like him. You don't put your hands on my baby. And she did admit to me, I said, did you touch him first? And she goes, no, he was strung out, is all I'll say, on illegal drugs. And he needed another hit. So he was coming after her, bashed through the bathroom door. I heard the audio and came after her and got his hands around her neck. And she goes, so I couldn't breathe. So my legs just went to kicking and I kicked him as hard as I could in the downstairs area. And that knocked him down so she could get away. Okay, fine. That's self-defense. Fair. He wants to beat you up and be that way. Well, you have a right to defend yourself. If it was the other way around, I would be like, you hit him first. He has a right to defend himself. And I've always raised my kids like that. I did. You have a right to defend yourself, but if you're going to double up your fist like a man, or just in general, if you're going to double up your fist like you're going to punch somebody and you do it, be prepared to get it back. Whether it's a girl or a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't play this game that I'm the victim just because I'm a woman. No, you're not a victim just because you're a woman. You're a victim if you do get the shit knocked out of you, guy or girl. Don't play that game with me. No.
Yeah, well, when they wrote the Violence Against Women's Act, it was
Right.
literally wrote into the law that a man cannot be a victim to domestic abuse.
Oh
And
wow. Yeah.
you know what? That really pisses me off because I've seen it with my own two eyes. Like I was saying, my brother, 3 pairs of glasses in 1 year because the thing, well, the woman he was married to busted him by punching him in the face. Excuse me, sorry, but there is domestic violence against men. And she ran him over with a car, and thankfully he lived through it. And I think it just cracked a limb, but still, she beat the crap out of him. And there should be more than just 2 domestic, safety houses for men. There should be just as many for men as there are for women.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Agree. Totally agree. It's bull crap.
It is, and this is why you're seeing so much hatred towards women online because of all of this damn division created deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason, for years I told people the programming was both genders are victims. It's just you had
Yes.
the primary victim being men, the secondary victim being women. And then they
Mm-hmm.
took the secondary victim and propped it up in the media, re victimizing the primary victim. Okay, it was no accident. It's all been deliberately done,
Right.
And
Right.
the important thing to understand is there are good women out here, and so many people online are so used to in the TFL manosphere. Okay, guys speaking up about what's going on, and so many young men come along, and they'll be calling themselves ugly. They'll be putting themselves
Mm.
down over and over and over again because of the fact that they've been rejected so many times. Men start blaming themselves at first. Young men do everything they're told to do, and then when they keep failing, they blame themselves.
Yeah.
That's what the powers that be want. They want men to become suicidal and blame themselves.
They do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's why the narrative has always been Monday, Forever Alone Monday. I guess his channel went down today. But
Really?
I'm sure it'll be back up again because he took it down once before and then he put it back up. Okay?
Mm.
But his entire message has always been it's the man's fault. It's the man's fault. It's the man's fault.
And
And I think,
that just, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, honey.
oh no, you can go ahead. I was just had something stuck in my head.
I was just gonna say that it's not that bothers me because it's not just the man's fault. It's not. That's where we have, as a society, have really, excuse my French, fucked up.
It is. It keeps
I mean,
division alive, is what it does.
right.
And that's
I mean,
exactly what they want.
I had a really good friend that committed suicide because of a woman, because of her. And that was back before the day where you've seen on Facebook and you've seen on the news where a woman has sat there and texted and prove your love to me by doing this, that, the other thing. Well, then they go and kill themselves. They can go to jail for that now. Thank you. Thank you. Or vice versa. But she did that to him. It was over email. And she's like, you want to prove your love to me? Then you really need to prove it in a big way. So what did he do? He went out to his truck after she took him for a run for his money and he killed himself. And that was at that time, he was my very best friend in the whole wide world. And that happened in 1999, right before you guys remember the Y2K scare with the computers. And I was just like, how dare you? And then she got scared. She ran off to Vegas. And I'm like, don't you ever show your face here because it would take everything I have not to choke her. It would take everything I have not to choke her. How dare you do that to him?
My goodness.
That's what he did.
I had a thought on my mind from earlier, something we were talking about maybe 45 minutes to an hour ago. The societal notion that, well, this is also prevalent in the pickup artistry community, is that you have to be that macho man, that alpha guy, bad boy, in order to attract a woman that you like. And I'll be honest with you, I'm guilty of going out of my way to act like somebody that I'm not at times where I met a woman I was attracted to try to seduce her into liking me for somebody who I wasn't. But I think a lot of women, especially young women nowadays, through this media programming, have been brainwashed to think that if a man is being nice to you, that's a sign of neediness and weakness. And this really pisses me the hell off because a lot of men are very nice to the heart towards women that they care about and that they like. But if that woman has been brainwashed by the media to believe that he's just being needy towards me, she'll treat him like a piece of dirt. Maybe you have to step back and think that no, he's not being needy. Maybe he just really does mean the things that he's saying to me. Maybe he really just wants to be nice to me. And a lot of women just don't understand that. And I think that's why nice guys have such a bad rap, especially in the manosphere. And it's you know.
Yep. Yeah. My friend Lance said the same thing. The guy with the big long beard, the good guys always lose out. And and of course, this was right after I met him, and I wasn't. I mean, I'll be honest. You know, I wasn't ready for a relationship. It wasn't too long after I lost my husband, but I was right on top of being friends with him. I ran for that. You can always use friends, but
Absolutely.
you know, be yourself. Always just be yourself. And I'm weird, I'm quirky, I'm goofy. You know, I like to say random goofy ass shit. And you know what? People still like me for it. And those that don't like me for it, well, bye. You weren't meant to be. And
Right.
and it, and I understand where you're coming from because I've done that same thing. You know, you do that extra little oomph to get someone to like you or you're interested in them, and then it turns out to, sorry to say, but screw you in the backside when by the, you know, in the long run. Nope,
Right.
I'm me. I'm who I am. I do my best to tell the truth. I do my best to be just who I am. And if you don't like me, then you know what? That's fine. That's fine. And I don't feel like you're being in any way, shape, or form other than you tonight. You're being you.
He's being
That's
And I'm
right.
himself.
enjoying that. You're just being yourself. And you know what? I'm enjoying it. I'm sure Bill will agree. You're
Yes.
just being yourself. And I'm absolutely loving everything you say.
The
You're just being
reason,
your true self.
you know, he's only been on the show one other time, but I left him on the show and he'll always be on the show as long as he's just who he is right now. He's real.
Yeah,
Because
that's all you got to be is real.
that's what I
Yep.
want. The people I
Mm-hmm.
want on the show have to be real. And you
Yep.
know, and unfortunately we had a spill of trolling that came onto the show and forced me to change the way I'm doing it. And now, you know, I got a person in the chat tonight wanting to put Zoom on that wants to be able to come into the live stream. And I'll repeat myself again. I sent them a friend invite to their email. I didn't get their email from them. Once you get me added to Zoom, you have to talk to me off the show, and I have to get to know you a little bit to make sure that you're not trolling, that you're real. Once I know you're real, then I'll bring you into the shows. That's how that works because I'm cutting the trolls out. I'm not going to let
Yep.
trolls in this show.
Yep.
I think Steve Hoka said something really profound when he said that you should never, ever compromise on who you are at this given moment to try to entice a woman into being in a relationship with you. It's only after you've both established mutual care and like for each other that maybe a few things here or a few things there you compromise for the happiness and the betterment of your significant other.
Right. Well,
That was a
yeah, let me say something real quick because this guy's trying to get me added and I sent it to him and it's saying there's an error. If you got Zoom up, okay, I'm going to guide him to how to do this, okay? So give me a second, okay? If you have Zoom up on your home window that you see, you're going to have home, chat, meetings, and contacts. You need to bring your Zoom up, go to contacts. At the top of the list on contacts, you're going to see a plus. Click on the plus, it will allow you to add a contact. Use the email I put in this chat, the handyman underscore 48 at live.com. Put that in there, okay? After you click on the add contact, put that in there and send it. I'll receive it and I'll add you to my list, okay? I think that might be easier. Hopefully they're listening. They know who they are. That's how you're going to get into my Zoom contacts list.
Right.
Bill. Have you had the chance to talk to Toronto in the
Uh,
past couple of days?
Not recently, Toronto. I did that one stream about when he took the two videos for me. I
Right.
asked him to take the two videos down that he put up because he made a bunch of assumptions that wasn't even the truth. Okay. And he came on the stream. That's how I caught his attention. Okay. I literally had to do a stream to get his attention. And I let him in the stream and straighten things out, but I told him to take the two videos down he made on me. Not because he made assumptions, because I understand the trolls. okay, they would flock to him and say, "See, Bill's an agent," and
Right.
Toronto's not. Toronto's going to be an easy prey for trolls, and
That's
they
true.
will send that guy right down the rabbit hole, drop him on his head, and hurt him all the more. And I don't want that to happen to him. But it's out of my hands at this time because he's chose to leave it up, and he's going to listen to these trolls, and he's going to listen to Jane on here tonight, and his anger's going to take over, and he's not going to use his head, and he's going to wind up getting hurt, and there won't be a thing I can do about it.
Right. Well, I just, I see Toronto as a guy who has been through a lot of pain and a lot of hardship in his life when it comes to TFL. I mean, he lives in Toronto, so not only is he dealing with the harsh weather, high cost of living, and the dating scene, from what I've heard, is absolutely horrible in Toronto. Probably
Oh,
one of the
he's
worst places in the
correct.
world.
He's absolutely correct about what he's saying, and I can tell he's had a really hard life. I don't want to see the man get hurt more.
Oh no.
Okay?
Me neither.
But he should have been paying attention to Zoom and answering to me. Okay? He should take the time to call me on Zoom when he has questions. He shouldn't be making videos with assumptions without talking to me. So he's actually responsible for his own demise that way. And leaving them videos up, he didn't do himself any favors. Now these trolls are going to take advantage of that, and they're going to run him down a rabbit hole and hurt him. And I feel for him, but I can't do anything about it. What am I going to
Right.
do about it? You try to help people like I've tried to help him. I support him. I feel bad for him. I want to help him, but his anger and not paying attention is getting the best of him.
Right. Well, I mean, I just wanted Toronto to know personally, from me, if Toronto, if you're listening to this stream right now, whether you're logged in or not, maybe you're just watching offline. I just wanted to let you know, brother, that we have your back. There's no hard feelings in the world. And if you ever want to contact me personally on Zoom and add me as a friend, I'd love to talk to you, because I'll be honest with you too. My social life is next to nothing in terms of other fellow males that I can just chew the fat with, you know what I mean? And so I just wanted to let him know that, you know, I
Yeah.
feel your pain, brother. I feel the pain you're going through. I probably don't go through it as severely as you do, but Toronto, man, I just want you to keep your head up, brother.
Right. I agree.
I can only wish him the best.
Yep.
Yeah. Is held by the dashboard light in the chat by any chance? I know he's normally goofing around in the comment section,
And
but
sometimes he is, sometimes he's not. Okay. So, there's not much I can do about that. I had people earlier in the chat say that Hell by the Dashboard has made it plain and clear that he'll never come on the show. The guy's full of hatred, okay? And until he can get over his hatred, he's only hurting himself.
Right.
right,
And
And that's really sad.
it
That's
is.
really sad.
This is the part that irks me because people so feel full of hate. I can understand the hate when you're shit on your whole life this way. But I'm telling you, you have to control the hate and your anger, and you have to not let it control you. By not giving any woman a chance because of what other women have done to you, you're actually adding to your own misery. And I don't know what else to tell you. That's really what you're doing. Because I'll tell you what, Jane is real as can be. Okay?
absolutely,
And she's not playing games in here. She's not deceiving you.
Nope.
And you people need to understand that. I brought her on here for a reason. I'm trying to help you guys. And you have to listen to what's being said if you're ever going to be able to help yourself. You got to help yourself before anybody else can help you. And if you got somebody that wants to help you, then you need to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
can't let all these haters that are consumed with anger steer you away from the real truth because, as I said, and I'll say it again, if you're ever going to defeat TFL, you have to have a real woman who's willing to speak out in your behalf, because she will eventually draw other women that are as real as her that'll come and join the forces, which will cause more women to come, and then you can start to make a difference.
Yes,
Right.
it'll cause a domino effect. That's a great point.
I mean,
Jana, I had a quick question for you regarding a few things concerning, I'm trying to think, TFL as far as how it affects different cultures. So in the city I live in, Dallas, obviously there's a huge Hispanic population and a
Okay.
large growing Asian and Muslim population.
Sure.
And when I'm out and about, what I've seen personally is what Hell by the Dashboard, Steve Hoka, and a lot of other people are seeing is that um, the white community and the black community have been hit the hardest by far by TFL. But when I'm grocery shopping or I'm at the shopping mall, anywhere in public where there's a large amount of people, I am not seeing TFL affect certain cultures. I mean, hardly at all. You know, I see a lot of Hispanic couples. They're usually always paired up, boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife with their kids. I always see Asian couples paired up. I always see East Indian couples paired up, Saudi Arabian couples paired up. But one thing that I hardly ever see nowadays is a white guy with a white woman, a white guy with a white woman. I see, obviously, you know, the older families, the Gen Xers, the baby boomer husbands and wives, just like my parents. But in terms of people my age, I just don't see it. And it kind of discourages me. And then, of course, you have the single mother issue that's plagued the black community for the most part. You have that in the white community as well. But what are some of your thoughts on that? What do you see when you go out in public?
I will have to agree. I live in a town with all of that. Well, my little town, I don't see all of that, but where I go, I volunteer for my brother-in-law. I put stuff on the internet for him for sale. I put campers online. He owns a camper business, but over there in just across the Missouri River, it's called South Sioux City, Nebraska. You have the Hispanics. I mean, right up our frontage road, there's got to be 4 Hispanic car lots. Across the street, it's like 2 Hispanic car lots. You know, so we have the Hispanics, and then we have the Muslims, and then we have the, you know, is it East Indian, that where the women cover everything but their face?
Yes, I think that's it.
Okay. And they even have their own little church. And yes, you're right. I do see the same thing. And I do see some, you know, we do have a lot of customers come in where they're couples, you know, white or Caucasian. I see the same thing. And you know, I'm one of those that I'm not against people that prefer the same sex, but and maybe this is contradictory on my part, so I'm being honest. I would prefer to see a couple, whether it's, say, a Hispanic male and a white woman, because they can procreate. I do believe in procreation.
Right.
Where technically 2 women can't procreate, technically 2 men can't procreate. But you know what? I'm also for, if that's what makes them happy, leave them alone. Just leave them alone. I have the movie Brokeback Mountain. I have the movie, and I watched it in an open-minded way. And it wasn't about where most people are like, oh my God, 2 cowboys, you know, doing. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't about that. It was about 2 men. They fell in love with each other, and to me, it was beautiful. Who cares? It's their private life. Leave them alone. But to answer your question, I see the same thing. I do, and you just, I do see some couples come in to the RV center. Some are white and white, some are Hispanic, some are, you know, with and without children. We have a couple that comes in and their one child is very extreme special needs. Great couple. But then we do see, at least in South Sioux and Sioux City, we do see, you'll see a white woman come in and her fiance or husband is black. Doesn't bother me,
Right.
but I would like to see more just couples, the giggly, goofy, having fun couples. I
Yes,
would
me
like to
too.
see more of that. I really would.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Have you seen the movie The Notebook?
My younger sister has. I've watched part of it, but I didn't
Part
watch
of
it
it.
all the way through.
Sometime just watch that movie because it goes back and forth between when they're old and when they're young. I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but anyway, I probably
Okay.
just did. But watch when they're young. I mean, they lay out in the middle of the street after going to see this movie. They lay out in the middle of the street and just watch the lights change from red to yellow to green. You know what I mean? The street lights.
Mhm.
And who the hell does that anymore? Nobody.
I know.
No
It
one
seems like
does
the
that.
simple intimacy is just gone.
It's just gone.
well, it is. When you
It
talk
is.
when you talk about you're not seeing a flux of TFL. If you leave here and go to Canada, if you go from Canada to United Kingdom, and you go
Mhm.
over to Australia, it's loaded with TFL.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Japan has a major epidemic of TFL. It is global in so many ways. Okay, people
Sure.
just don't see it. You got to
That's
really
right.
pay attention if you want to see it. But most people ain't
That's
paying
true.
attention but nothing but their own selves or what's in their own life. And they're not paying attention to what's going on around them.
Right. Right. Yeah. I would
Yeah.
just love to. I, w-
Mm.
I don't know. I'm just one of those that when David was still alive, my husband, we did stupid stuff like that. We would, our thing was of course, I'm a big coffee drinker. We would sit out on the front porch on a freezing cold day and watch traffic go by. Goofy stuff like that. We sat and watched the sunset. We I don't know. We just did the goofiest things. And that was our movie. Was The Notebook. We swore that that's how we were gonna die. We were gonna die together. And I know I'm ruining this movie for you, and I know I feel bad,
No, it's
but
fine.
you know, we splashed around on the water together. And it wasn't. It was an intimate, but an appropriate intimacy. Where if there were 4-year-old kids, it wasn't anything inappropriate.
Right.
I mean, at one point she's like, say I'm a bird, say I'm a bird. And then of course he's like, no. And she's like, no, I'm a bird, call me a bird or whatever. And then she jumps in his arms and she says it again. And he goes, well, if you're a bird, then I'm a bird. I mean, just doofusy stuff like that. And, then there's like, I have this other thing I follow on Facebook called, it's Team Bombers. And they're huge on Facebook. Their daughter was born with some congenital heart defects. So she's been in and out of surgery and she's probably 4. And there's one video I watched again today where the wife had the fart spray and she woofed it in the car during car karaoke video. And he's like, oh my God. And I just laughed until I cried because that's the kind of relationship someday again that I would love to have, where you can just pull pranks on each other and you just, I mean, she has waxed his entire body with little wax off things. So if you ever think of it, go to Team Bomber, follow them, and you would just die laughing. And I share almost everything on my Facebook that they put up because I just always put LMAO, I'm dead inside, just because I laugh so hard. Those are the relationships I want to see more of, whether it's
Me
me,
too.
if it's you, Bill, Steve Hoka, it doesn't matter to me. I want to see more of those where it's just laughing and giggling because, like, a family member of mine and their husband, it's not like that. I mean, sometimes it is, but most of the time it's her picking on him. And I mean, one day I'm just going to be honest, mentioned, oh, his penis is the size of, you have to use a magnifying glass. And he looked at me like, really? He goes, do you talk to your husband that way? And this is when my David was still alive. And I'm like, I would never talk that way to my husband.
Right.
God, you can't help what God gave you. And you know what? Be damn proud of what God gave you.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to that. It's male bashing. And that ticked me off. And I told her, I said, don't you ever talk about him like that again. Oh, so you know what he has? And I'm like, excuse me? Ew. No, not ew like he was ew. Just
Right.
her saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I don't know what he has, what God gave him. And I don't want to know because, excuse me, he's married to you, but you don't talk like that.
No.
That is way below the belt. You don't talk like that about people. It was very hurtful. I mean, I thought he was going to start crying. It made him feel so embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, knock it off. Stop your shit. And that's where, I mean, that even starts little kids. That even starts as little kids, little boys, they look down and they know they have this weird little body part at at 6 months old, and like, oh, what do we do with this? Make them feel proud of what they have.
Right.
They can't help it. And I mean, I know it's kind of a funny thing to bring up. I mean, now it's a little bit funny, but when it happened, the look in his eyes, my brother-in-law, it was just like, what are you? What? I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Yeah. And that's just proves another point that Bill's always made, is that's just another piece of the puzzle in the programming that's going on in the media. If you don't have a certain amount of endowment downstairs, you're unworthy. Meanwhile, there's an Asian couple where the guy has excuse the vulgar, but the dick, half the size of yours, which is considered small in America, but yet he's got a wife that loves him and they've got a big family. So what's the deal there?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
It has nothing to do with any of that stuff. It's all, but they take it and push that to the top, to the front, the beginning of everything, to destroy people. And these people are thinking with lust. And then
lust is such.
You'll hear people say there's no such thing as real love. Bullshit. There is.
Bullshit. I tell you, it just blows my mind. People,
you can't get it through their heads because they're falling for all the social engineering. And they're just going right down the rabbit hole with it. And the elite are up there laughing at your dumbness. And they really are.
Right. And then there's this plastic surgery that, oh my God, I wish there was never such a thing. I've never had plastic surgery. Ever.
Oh, I know.
I
Thinking that
who I am.
They're trying
bigger
to keep
boobs,
their looks.
Bigger butts. And then there got these guys wanting to, sorry for the young guy. And here he's probably going to maybe laugh, and that's okay.
Well,
but then they got these penis extenders, and I'm like,
well,
what are you doing? And you have these weights and shit. And I'm like, what? Why can't I just don't understand? I mean, I understand if you're not well endowed, man, woman, either one. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah,
so what?
Yeah, let me tell you a story about that. Okay, this is
boy.
actually pretty funny. Okay.
Okay.
I was staying with the guy that was like my brother for almost 30 years, who passed away, and we were there and his wife, and they had this talk show on TV, and they had this female doctor on there talking about guys with large, long penises. Okay. And this woman was talking about the the depth of a woman's vagina, okay? And that it was just too long, it would bottom out and actually hurt them, okay? And then they were talking about penis reduction surgery, which is the opposite of what you just said, right? And now catch this. At that time, I was still with Pam, my ex, and she was getting ready to go to work. Now, my
Mhm.
brother Urban, he wasn't very endowed down there, okay? So
Okay.
he used to pick on me that I was huge, right? And,
Right.
and so he says, well, he cracks up and says, Bill, and I says, what? He says, that's the surgery you need, okay? And now my ex lost her mind and flipped out and said, and if you get that surgery, I'll divorce you, and stormed out the door. And, and Urban looks at me and says, fuck, she married you for your penis.
Shit.
Wow.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
alrighty then.
see, that was the
Sweet.
opposite of what you just said. But I
Right.
never forgot that day because it was so hilarious outside of the fact that Pam was all pissed off.
Oh
And
That's
boy.
so when
crazy.
I heard you talk about penis extensions, I thought, well, here, I got the opposite for you.
Right. I mean, I don't even know how I came upon that channel that day. And then this guy had this, he- over time, he had to use more weights and up and over this coffee table. I'm like, hot. I'm gagging. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Wow.
See, if you
And
got a sense of
I just,
humor, if you have a sense of
right.
humor and you can use your sense of humor, you can actually have a fun time.
Well, yeah. And
That's
that's
right.
why, and I shouldn't laugh because the guy was obviously not happy with what he was given, but really over the coffee table, that's where the humor came in. I'm just, what are you doing? Change the channel. Like, this is weird. I've never seen such a thing in my life. And I'm, coming on 49 here. Hello. But in plastic surgery in the, but plastic surgery has made a huge, the social, the social thing,
Well, even without
that's
the sexual
become
stuff,
huge.
you got women and guys alike who get plastic surgery to change their looks.
That's
Women
Right.
get
right.
older and go get it because they want to look young again, like they're going to keep it. All that money for something you're not keeping.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right. It's eventually all going to go south. I'm just saying.
It is. Yeah, I tell people all the time, why don't you take a visit to a nursing home and get to know some of the residents and have you show their family albums when they were younger?
Right.
And then
Yes.
you can pinch yourself and wake the hell up.
Right. And I'm one, I sit here and I think, I know I'm going to have 3 more tattoos done. So that'll be like about 20 tattoos I have. And, and if I'm dressed like in the wintertime, you can't tell I have one. But, um, I have this one on my lower back. I'm a big Nebraska Cornhuskers fan for football. And that's the lower back. They used to call it a tramp stamp. And
Right.
I got about a lot of grief from it from when I was a CNA at the time. They're like, God, when you get old, we won't be wiping your ass, we'll be wiping your tattoo. And I'm like, shut up, you know,
Yeah.
because it all goes south. I don't care how much plastic surgery you have, eventually it all goes south, and it's like, so yeah, but plastic surgery was not a good movement. Then they have this weird, you know, yes, I get my nails done. That's the only thing I really do for myself, just because I have my dad's hands. So if I don't have long nails, my hands look like my dad's, and I don't want man hands. Ugh, I'm a girl. I don't want boy hands.
Oh, you mean you want long nails?
Yes, I like long nails. And
Okay.
if they're my real nails, I chew them to nothing. So I have to go to the nail salon every couple of 3 weeks. But
Just don't chew them up too.
well, right. And well, I do when I need a new set. But anyway, um, I do that for myself, and then like twice a year, I let my niece color my hair because she's a salon gal. What do you call beautician or whatever? But but the plastic surgery movement, or whatever you want to call it, that was just the worst thing ever. The Botox in the lips and the butts and the cheeks and whatever else. And I'm like, okay, I don't like needles. Yeah, I know I have tattoos, but I don't want people sticking needles in my lips to make my lips plump. And I don't want them sticking it in my wrinkles because then my forehead's going to be probably red for the rest of my life. That shit scares me.
Well,
Right.
they might be trying to do away with the wrinkles, but I wouldn't want the needle neither. But I do feel like I've become a pincushion in the last few years. So,
Well, yeah. I mean, I go to the doctor once a year, only once a year, unless I'm really super sick. I go to the doctor once a year for my little thyroid test and my cholesterol test. That's it. But I'm not a big needles fan. Now, if it's a
no.
tattoo, I'm cool because I've got these tattoos and they say once you get one, you just have to go back and get another. And they weren't kidding. I have like
Well,
17.
yeah,
So,
Hayden.
Yes,
And
sir.
so you live up there in Texas, right?
That's right.
And we got a caller that's called into my show a few times. Okay, Steve from Texas. Okay. He
Okay.
likes to talk about in Texas, the women are rejecting guys that ain't working in the oil fields. Do you see that going
Um,
on?
Personally, I don't know anybody that works in the oil field. I had a coworker at my last job who left that job to go to the oil field, but he was Hispanic and he had a family. I really don't know where this idea comes from that if you don't work in the oil field, you're not going to get a woman. I mean, it kind of ties in with what we were talking about just about 10 minutes ago. How many minority couples, Hispanics, Asians, Muslims, you name it, do I have to see to know that a lot of the stuff that these LMS men are preaching is a bunch of hogwash? And Jaina, if you don't know, there's this community in the manosphere called the Looks Money Status community, and their basic premise is that you have to meet a certain criteria of looks, money, and status in order to get a girlfriend in your life. And if you don't meet up to any one of those criteria, it's over for you. So, for example,
oh,
a lot of them say, "Oh, you have to be 6 foot tall or above, or it's over for you. You have to have a Chad face, or it's over for you. You have to be six-figure salary, or it's over for you." Just this Rolodex of criterias. But I'm 6'1" personally. I have an athletic build, 190 pounds. How many people do I have to walk by in the grocery store that I tower over? Not to be derogatory, but just guys that I'm way taller than who have girlfriends. They have wives.
hmm
They don't meet up to these LMS criteria that these um, Manospherian men in that community have made for them, but yet they still have a girlfriend. They still have a wife. They still have 3, 4 kids. That flies in the face of the LMS theory. I mean, how many examples do we have to see to know that it's inadequate? So,
yeah.
That's
Wow.
that sounds about right. Even though we know we have millions of TFLers all over the world thanks to social engineering, we also have a shitload of propaganda and BS coming out people's mouths.
yes.
Right.
And
So,
that's
but
the
to answer
sad
your
thing.
question,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it. I don't understand the oil field theory. I really don't understand it. I don't know who came up with
I
that.
don't, well, this is what Steve from Texas claims. I don't live up in Texas. I couldn't answer it. Now, I do believe that we have, depending on where you're at in the United States, depending on your town, like if you're in a small town, depending on the small town or where you're at, if you're an outsider in a farming community, you may not be so welcome in that small town. And if you,
Absolutely.
okay, this kind of stuff I do know goes on, okay? And you might have a different fluctuation of cultures around the United States, okay, where you see different stuff. So some of this could actually depend on where you live to how much TFL you're going to see in the area you're in.
Right.
Well, I think right off the top of my head, just with using some critical thinking, if anything, working in the oil field might have the opposite effect on your chances to date. Because think about how many hours those men work. A lot of those men are working 90, 100-hour weeks. And if you don't have
Right.
time to visit with your girlfriend or your wife, your relationship's going to fall apart. I mean, so I don't get it.
I would
In
agree.
my
I would agree with that because, like Peter Nolan was working, he's a software writer. He creates software, and he was working for IBM for a lot of years. And he had a company car, and he took business trips, okay, and long hours on the job because this was what he was required to do. He made a really good income, so he was supporting his wife and kids really good. But then the wife started using "You're Never Home" against him,
right,
and then pretty soon she replaced him, divorced him, cleaned him out, took the kids, and turned the kids against him.
right.
Oh, Jesus. Eminently
I
sakes
mean,
Moses. Wow.
yeah, I think the oil industry is um, jammed into young guys' minds as a lustrative, lucrative potential career because of how much money you can make. But what they don't tell you is how many hours you have to work to make that money.
Right.
It's something I could personally never do. I mean, I just wouldn't have it in me to do that, even if I knew that getting a career in the oil field would astronomically increase my chances of getting with the woman. But then I'd have to say to myself, okay, is the woman getting with me for me, or is she getting with me because she knows I've got money now? You know?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, I agree with you there. You'd have to really question the motive behind it.
Hmm.
Okay? It's like these guys who go overseas to find a woman. Okay? They believe they're going to correct their loneliness, but you better be careful. If you're going into another third world nation, for women who are trying to get out of that third world nation, they'll say everything you want to hear. And once they get here and get their green card in their hand, bye bye. And I've seen that happen to so many different guys, okay? Because the woman actually lied to get her way here. And now the government did change a few things. It used to be like a couple of years, but I think it's either 5 or 7 years now. They have to
Right.
be together before they can get their citizenship. But I'm telling you, the price of getting a female over to America can cost you up to 20 grand. Now, why would you put 20 grand out to bring a female over here for 5 or 7 years of being with her and then she dumps you on your ass and takes your kids?
Right.
Right.
Well, that's not an issue I'm really too knowledgeable about, so I can't really speak too much on the idea of going overseas to meet a woman.
Well, there's
I
a
know a lot of
guy that's
guys do
been
it, but
around for a long time on YouTube. His name is Winston Wu. He
oh,
lives
okay,
here in America. He owns a site called Happier Abroad. He comes from a wealthy family. So he travels all over the place because he's from a wealthy family and his money's been handed to him. And he
right,
pays these females. I can remember this, it was hilarious. He didn't understand Russian, and he was over in Russia. He paid these females to go out with him and took pictures of him with them to try to sell his website. These females were speaking in Russian. He didn't understand Russian, okay? And they were actually making fun of him and mocking him. He didn't even know it. He's sitting there smiling at him and blah, blah, blah. And oh, Nick, a friend of mine over there, come along and showed me the video, and I didn't understand him, but well, Nick understands German or Russian because his mother's Russian. He speaks Russian, he speaks German, and he speaks fluent English, okay?
okay,
So he broke down what the girls were saying. They actually made a mockery out of him, and he had that posted up advertising it.
Oh,
goodness
geez.
gracious, paying women to take pictures with them sounds like something the dating coaches do, right?
Yes, exactly.
Jeez.
It's
Mm,
sad because the dating coaches here on YouTube are actually employees of the establishment. Why do you think their
yes,
advice is garbage?
And it's all the same advice. There's no unique advice to any of them. I mean, how is it that some channels have, thousands upon thousands of videos and their following is so small, yet other men come into the scene and they make maybe 10 or 15 videos and their channel just blows up, tens of thousands of subscribers? You already know that there's something deeper lying behind that.
Well, you're damn right. It's called their employees of the establishment, and we line them and build them up to push the message.
Mm-hmm.
You can't trust the numbers on YouTube at all. They literally sell dislikes and likes. You can buy a bundle of likes and dislikes, and you're allowed to use so many dislikes per video or so many likes per video.
Bill, I had no idea you could do that.
Yeah, neither did I till a while, a few years ago, and they're still doing it. And what caught my attention at first was I'd post a video up. I had in 15 minutes, 5 views, right?
Right.
And I had 12 thumb downs.
They're just putting it out there in plain sight.
And I was like, really? And then I started looking into it, and sure as enough, I found where if I put my card number and I could purchase likes and dislikes. And I said, well, so I disabled the ratings for my normal videos. People didn't like it. Well, you're just rating the ratings because blah, blah, blah. No, I'm disabling them because they're bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And people just didn't understand that. But we are in a very sick world. And everything's about money. Everything's about everything they shouldn't be. And then people can't figure out why.
Right.
I say the stuff I say. But it's not about woman hating. It's not about male hating. Okay? It's about trying to get people to understand what a real date's about. That was my real goal of bringing Jana on tonight, was because her and I are on the same page. Believe me, she's being honest with you. And you need to take what I've been telling you seriously, because unless you do these things, a relationship is a lot of work.
Oh my God, it's so much work.
It really is. It takes a lot of work, and it takes from both parties.
Right.
Not
50,
just
50.
one. That's right. It has to be both parties putting an equal amount in. There's no such thing as a relationship where it's all about her. If you get a woman that everything's about herself, get rid of her.
Yep. I agree. I totally agree.
And that would be the same with a guy. If it's all about him, get rid of him.
Yep.
Because it's going to fail. It's garbage.
That's very true.
And they're hard to find. We won't lie. They're a little bit harder to come by, but you'll find one. And that's where I found, the 2 ex-husbands. It was all about them. And it's like, no, this isn't going to work. And then David, we made sure that it was 50-50. If it was, like an example of kind of a big purchase, we sat down and talked about it for a couple of days before we made that big purchase, weighed out the pros and cons. There were times we actually got out a piece of paper and pen and wrote out the pros of this big purchase and wrote out the cons. And if the cons outweighed the pros, we didn't make that purchase. Maybe we were just the weird couple, but that's what we did. And I don't know if man, I tell you what, I really miss that man every day. I wish he was still here. But the only thing I can say about him now is I've got a really special guardian angel watching over me. And I think that's where I was showing Bill today, I'm like, see, we were talking about a budget. I don't know why we started talking about a budget, earlier today, but I showed him I have nothing to hide. I kind of showed him my calendar, how I budget out my money every week. And, most people don't do that even. It's like you got to budget everything because
Right.
in this day and age, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. It would be nice. I won't lie. If I had a money tree, man, I wouldn't be telling anybody I had one.
Unless
But
you're the elite, you won't have one.
oh,
Right.
right, but and we talked about that. I mean, he and I have just in a couple 3 times we have just talked about everything. And it was funny. That was the first thing Bill said, we're going to get accused of being boyfriend, girlfriend. And boom, we weren't in the show, 15 minutes tonight? And I mentioned it.
Yeah, exactly. I already said that was going to happen. I
Yep.
expected to be slammed tonight coming on here. I already knew I was going to be. What, you thought I wouldn't bring her on because you don't slam me? Wrong.
Right. And I don't know if anybody said get her off of here. I didn't pay attention to that, but I remember being called gay. And I'm like, oh, yeah. I didn't answer it, but I just kept thinking, yeah, I'm very happy. Thanks.
Well,
you know.
Well, all
you.
they're doing is they're their own enemy. These
Right.
people that don't want what I'm doing to happen are their own enemy. They
Right.
could, they are really their own enemy because the reality is simple. If you cannot communicate with a woman, then don't plan on having one,
Right.
okay, in your life. If you're going to be so bitter and hateful towards women because of TFL, then you're going to keep your TFL alive and well.
That's right.
Okay, there's only one way to beat TFL. You have to be willing to keep talking about it. And I got a woman on here who's real, and we need women speaking out to other women so that these women that are rejected in 1 to 5 or in 1 to 5 seconds, that they can be caught up for their behaviors by another woman.
Right. And the good women will hold themselves accountable. No woman is perfect. And hopefully they'll admit, I did make this mistake. I made that mistake. And you know what? And that's where I find the good in women. Just be honest. I've made mistakes and I'm going to continue to make
I don't know
mistakes.
anybody that don't make mistakes, but
Right.
it's like earlier tonight in the show when Harry made the statement that these men are complaining in 1 to 5 seconds, but yet what were they doing to Jaina? The
Right.
exact same thing they're complaining about.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I
do
don't.
understand there's a lot of toxic women out here that'll use the
Oh,
guy
right.
up and beat on them and use them and steal their money in their homes, okay? And women that reject guys at the rate that now we got millions of men, okay, that are running around on their ego trips. But you better remember, it's the social engineering that's caused these problems and people's inability to use their own brains.
Right.
Right. It is largely, I think, programming straight from the media. I mean, it's not just the television; it's the music as well. The music has played a big role in
It
dividing
is.
the genders
It
I
sure
because,
agree.
is.
I mean, you listen to all these country songs. It's either it's a lot of male shaming in the country music scene today. From what I'm hearing, it's all about
I don't listen to the newer country. I mean, I love my country music and I love to sing with it.
right,
But the country music I listen to is the other stuff, okay? And I've always listened to the other stuff. I grew up on Hank Williams, okay? My family was country and I grew up on Hank Williams and Don Williams and Charlie Pride and Charlie Rich and Johnny Cash and on, okay?
Hmm.
This was the era I grew up on, okay? And I love to sing with it, okay? But that's what I grew up with. And don't get me wrong, I do like some rock. I like Journey. I like REO Speedwagon.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
do like some rock, but I grew up on country, so I also like country. But when I listen to the new country,
oh no,
it's just filled full of crap.
It's either the woman's talking about how the man broke her heart, or the man's trying to kiss up to a woman that he done wrong. And it's, I mean,
Yep, that's
it's all
right.
based upon the man being, the man's the evil one, the man's the bad one, the
It
man's
really
the one
is.
that needs to change.
It
Right.
really
Yep.
is. Garth Brooks
It
was
is.
really good for that. He did a lot of good songs that got a hit, right? But in
That's right.
reality, it was always the guy that was in the wrong.
Right.
But you know,
Yep. It's really sad.
mhm.
It needs to go away. But we're not going to make it go away because it's been socially engineered. I'll still say it, and I'm going to say it again because our time's getting low, but I'm going to say it straight out. We need women like Jaina. We really do, because the only way you're going to reach your opposite gender is through people like Jaina.
That's right. I absolutely agree. And it's been a blessing to talk to you tonight, Jana. Get to know you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been awesome talking to you too. It's nice to know that there's actually some men out there that are willing to listen to a woman's perspective, because not all women are bad, just like I believe not all men are bad. There are toxic women, there are toxic men, but I think between like me, you, and Bill, and the true TFLers, the true ones, we aren't toxic people. We're trying to get rid of the toxicity in the community, and I'll do what I can to help. I really will. I mean, I've told my true feelings. I believe in dating, getting to know someone for an appropriate amount of time, and then if intimacy incurs with that, great. If it turns into like I said, a real relationship, a proposal, a marriage, kids, boom, 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 keep going, 90 years. You just don't
Yeah,
hear that anymore. That would be great. And
you don't.
you're still young enough to where that could happen for you. And I hope it does. I really do.
Yes, I would like to see that happen for every guy out here, but I cannot
Yep.
promise that because,
Yep.
Steve Hoke is 48 years old,
And I
you
Right.
know
know,
that is so sad for him.
It
and that
is. That's,
and that Richard from
Ugh.
Texas is 49 years old.
Yep.
yeah.
Him too.
Okay, and this is the reality. So many men are getting. They started looking when they were young, like everybody else, and they got older and older and older, and were still being rejected. And then, of course, they were blamed for being rejected, and they did everything that everybody else did. But I'm sorry, and that is the social engineering that caused that.
Right. I was
Yeah.
just thinking just now, I have a nephew from my brother that has 9 children. He is the second eldest of the 9. You know what? He was dating this girl. This has been, God, probably 5 years ago now. Dating this girl, just fell madly, head over heels in love with her. She turned around and, well, I don't know if she cheated or what, but she just screwed him over. To this day, he's never had another girlfriend.
Wow.
And that's probably been 8 years now. He just, she just broke him. And you know what? And it just breaks my heart. And I'm like, I want to strangle her. I'm like, what are you thinking? Why do you do that? Why do women do that? That is terrible. I mean, I mean, I understand that things don't work out. I get that, but that's where let's get to know each other, and then let's weigh the honestly together, weigh the pros and cons of this relationship. And if it doesn't work out, the cons outweigh the pros. At least then you've tried. But
Right.
if you're not
Yes.
even willing to do that, then you may as well just stay single and
Well, that's just
you
it.
know,
For TFLers, they're always going to have their comeback because they was rejected so many times, and that part is sad because that actually is through no fault of their own, and they couldn't get to know somebody when they're rejected and want to have sex. Because you know what I tell them? You don't go out there with the intentions of meeting somebody. You go out there, associate, and hang around, and hang out with your friends and buddies, and let it happen organically.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Because when you go out there with the intentions of meeting somebody, you're gonna come home disappointed every damn time.
Yeah.
That's been my experience. I can't disagree with that.
Okay,
right.
you know the women I've met happen pretty much organically, and that's what they don't understand. You know, this is why it's sad because if you're gonna go on a dating app, then you better be taking the time to get to know each other. You
Hmm.
know, and you better be paying attention to who you're with because everybody's different. And there are lots of toxic women just like there is men, okay? And it's a lot of
Oh,
work to
yeah.
meet somebody. And when you
Right.
do meet somebody, the work's only just begun
Right. And
because
I
now
have.
you got all the work to try to make that relationship you got into work out. And that means you got to have good communication. It means you got to be able to talk about each other's feelings. You got to respect each other's feelings. You're going to have disagreements. You got to learn how to compromise. That's right. There's a whole lot of work involved into a relationship. But
Yep.
real
It
love
is.
will happen if you do what I'm telling you. You'll find real love, and once you find real love, you'll be so happy that you did.
Right. I don't know this. I just maybe I'm just trying to be a medium or whatever they call them, but I have a feeling it'll happen for you. I really do. I know it seems like it's taking forever, but it'll happen. It will. There's they say there's someone out there for everybody, and my one someone, of course, didn't last as long as I had hoped because he got sick and passed, but there's somebody out there for everybody, and I sure really hope sooner than later that you find that someone and it turns into the greatest thing you have ever known.
Did you like this clown we got in our chat? Hayden, don't listen to good advice. Listen to me. I don't know what I'm doing. So make sure to
Oh,
listen to
gee.
me.
Is there somebody in the comment section trolling? I'm on my phone right now, so I actually don't. I can't see the
Well,
comments.
yeah,
I'm
that's
only.
all right. I was just repeating or telling you don't listen, okay?
Oh, geez.
you know,
You know,
but
and we're telling you the fucking truth. I don't care what you say. You
Right,
that's
don't
right.
know what you're talking about. You only think you do.
That's right.
right,
Yeah, I'm very optimistic. I just try to. I mean, the only thing you can really do is live life one day at a time because, I mean, personally, and this is not to brag or anything, but I've built a respectable life for myself. And I've done everything in the book that the PUA community says you're supposed to do in order
That's a
to
joke.
meet a woman. And, here I am. I'm single.
Yeah.
I don't have a woman, but I'm still optimistic. I just feel bad for guys like Steve Hoka who, twice as old as I am and they don't have anybody in their life. And it's just, I can understand why he's so upset and why it probably really
right.
gets under his skin. And he probably doesn't broadcast his true anger on the air. He probably gets a lot more angry off the air in his own personal time, just like we all do. But
Right. Yeah, so
Well, I
it
think
just it
that's
just
yeah,
goes to show. I mean, Steve is a very respectable guy. He's good looking for his age. I mean, he was obviously better looking when he was younger, but he's a good looking man for his age. He's, a marathon runner. He's got a great personality. He speaks with a lot of passion. That's why so many people gravitate towards him because he's a likable person. I mean,
right.
he checks off so many boxes for what a woman would want in a man. Yet, here he is living TFL at the age of 49, and you have to feel bad for the man because I'll be honest with
Right.
you, and this is just coming from the heart. If I had to go another 24 years of my life living in TFL, and once I got to 49, the thought that okay, I've made it this far, but there's still no assurance that I could find anybody in the future heading into my 50s or 60s. I don't know if I could muster up the willpower to live any longer. I really don't.
Right.
So his anger is, I mean, justified in my mind. I just
Well,
wouldn't want
it
anybody.
is. It's like Warren. Warren's anger is justified. He has autism. Okay, he's doing nothing but getting older. And Warren's like, why should I do anything for society? I'm not going to contribute to support a system who threw me out. And
Yeah,
I agree with him. I mean, why would you want to support a system who hates your guts?
Right.
And this is why I do truly understand the TFLers. But if anything comes off this night's show, I hope that people like Jana here will eventually open an account and start talking out, and that some other women will draw her away, and she can come on the show and she can bring some other women with her and maybe let the women see what true TFL is and what they've done through social engineering and to turn it around. That's really what I want to happen.
Yep.
absolutely. You know, there's nothing more than, like you said, Bill. I mean, I just want to see TFL come to an end because let's face it, um, if we live in a society 5, 10 years down the road where 70, 80% of the men are without a wife, children, a family of their own, things are going to get ugly. And, I never advocate violence and I never advocate for a collapse in society because I don't want to see that happen. I really don't. I want to see things turn around, but
I
it's
do
just,
myself. I really do. I want it
Yep.
I
to turn
mean,
around. I wouldn't hold my breath about it anytime soon. But this is the real reason I'm bringing her on the show because she's real. Okay? She's not fraudulent. We need real women to come forward and speak to the other women about this very thing
yeah, I agree.
because it's the only way you're ever going to make a change. I mean, my goal has always been to bring the genders back together and bring men back together and trump the NWO's bullshit plan and the media's plan and shut them down and knock them on their ass.
Right. Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even just like something so simple as these soap operas. These women, you don't see not one heavy set woman on these soap operas unless they've been on the show for a bajillion years since it started
Yeah,
and they put on some weight. And and it's all about looks, and that's not what it's supposed to be about.
That's exactly right. It's not supposed to be
TV
about
media
looks.
sucks.
yeah,
It's
Jana, you were talking about how the media. Oh, I'm sorry, Bill. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I haven't watched TV in years. No lie. I don't even own a TV. Okay, my brother owns one, but I don't watch it. I don't own one myself. I don't need a TV. Every time I look at a TV, I do nothing but get pissed. I mean, I'm telling you, I watch it and I have trouble watching movies sometimes because I get into the movie. There's so much fucking male shaming. It ain't funny. Matter of fact, I watched a movie yesterday. Okay, it was called like Death on the Roadway. Okay, it's from 1979, and it's loaded full of male shaming. And I can't watch it no more because I get too infuriated. Okay, it just pisses me right on off. No different
Right,
than when I watched Morena Bobbitt become a star because she got a guy's penis off. And then I watched another gal drug her husband because he was divorcing her, tied him to a bed while he was knocked out on the drug, sliced it off, dropped it in the garbage disposal, and then watched four adult women climb up on the talk on national TV and make a big mockery of how funny it was.
Yeah, not funny.
So I become
cool.
totally infuriated and said, what have we done this to the women for 30 plus years? They would be in an outcry. That means society would come to a stop, right?
Right.
Well, and I can't figure it out for the life of me why you can't get women up here picketing Hollywood. Why there isn't an outcry? Because it needs to happen.
Yep.
But hey, guys, we're going to go ahead and cut the show. I've been up here right around just close to 4 hours. And I didn't get shit for sleep last night. So I think I'm going to get out of here. And
Okay.
it's getting to be late. And I appreciate you being here, Jana. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be here whenever you want me to be.
Yes. Okay. Hit me up later in the week. I'm always on Zoom. So drop on Zoom
Okay.
and give me a ring and we'll chat. And Hayden,
Okay.
you're welcome back anytime you like.
Yes, he
Okay.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Okay. And with that being said, guys, I'm getting on out of here for the night. Thanks a lot, guys, and you'll have a good one.
Yep.
Bye,
You too,
Jana.
Bill.
Bye, Bill.
Yep. Bye-bye,
Bye,
guys.
Hayden.